Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. They had to be destroyed. But before they could even get close, boom, swoosh, Veneno, racing at full speed, suddenly launched 3 missiles straight into the approaching zombie horde. Boom. A massive explosion tore through the streets, obliterating hundreds of zombies in an instant. The survivors in the high-rises were left staring in disbelief. Fuck. Did they modify military vehicles? That was the only logical explanation. There was no way they would ever guess that these were Transformers. But Yi Xiaoyu wasn't interested in what the survivors thought. With the pursuing zombies annihilated, only a few scattered ones remained, attempting to throw themselves at Veneno in desperation. They lunged forward, hoping to block the car with their bodies. But Veneno wasn't having it. Like hell, I'm letting these filthy zombies touch me. With a whirring of gears, a mounted autocat transformed from the roof. Bayou. 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 Red laser blasts erupted in rapid succession. In just a blink of an eye, every zombie on the overpass was wiped out. Both women were stunned by the sheer firepower. Holy crap. That's insane. They knew these Cybertronians were strong. But they hadn't expected this level of destruction. This wasn't just a machine gun. This was practically artillery. The red laser beams didn't just hit zombies. They vaporized them into bloody mist. With these monsters on their side. What zombies? They could bulldoze through the entire apocalypse. Chapter 24, A New Base, Sky Garden. Of course, along the way, Yi Xiaoyu casually took out a few more zombies. Thus, the 3 of them made their way without much trouble to the Twin Towers Center. This was one of the most iconic landmarks in the city center. Constructed entirely from reinforced concrete, the building was incredibly sturdy. Even an ordinary missile might not be able to penetrate it. It had over 50 floors in total. The first 10 floors housed a shopping mall, while the upper 40 floors consisted of luxury penthouse apartments. At the very top, however, the last 3 floors were part of the Sky Garden. A private space supposedly developed by the mall's owner. And that was Yi Xiaoyu's destination. With its fully equipped facilities, it was the perfect place to live. Alright, get out of the car. Seeing that they had arrived, Yi Xiaoyu wasted no time and got out. The zombie population here was huge. Roar. At least several hundred zombies turned their bloodshot eyes toward them. There was no helping it. This was the city center. Zombies were everywhere. The moment they saw Yi Xiaoyu step out, it was like they had spotted a long-lost feast, and they charged at him, eyes glowing with frenzied hunger. But for Yi Xiaoyu, this was nothing to worry about. Behind him. Clank clank clank. Lightning saw the incoming horde and immediately transformed, revealing its 6-meter-tall metallic frame. Its military green exterior exuded a domineering aura. With a slight movement of its massive mechanical arm, a mechanical energy cannon locked into place. Then, it aimed at the approaching zombies and fired without hesitation. Boom! A devastating energy blast erupted, instantly clearing an entire 20-meter-long street. At least 50 zombies were sent flying into the sky. The rest? Vaporized on the spot. Don't fire again. We don't need to attract more zombies. Yi Xiaoyu quickly reminded it. There were at least 80,000 to 100,000 zombies in this area. No need to stir up a hornet's nest. Their goal was to secure a place to stay, not turn this into a battlefield. Understood, Creator. Upon receiving the order, Lightning immediately retracted its energy cannon. Instead, a massive laser blade extended from its arm. Then, together with Yi Xiaoyu, it charged forward. With just one casual swing, it melted through 20 zombies in an instant. Holy shit. Seeing this, Lin Yuxi and Li Zian felt their hearts race. This guy doesn't have a limit, does he? Either one cannon shot or one sword slash, and it was instant devastation. But there was no helping it. The zombie density was insane, making them easy targets. Lightning was simply massive. Standing 6 meters tall, with a 3-meter-long laser blade. Even if it casually swung its weapon, it would clear 15 to 16 meter radius. And taking out 20 zombies in one swing was considered light work. Not to mention, with its 2000 strength stat, it was literally cutting through zombies like tofu. Of course, this only enraged the surrounding zombies further. Hell no, you're killing our brothers? Then we gotta take you down. Roar. Dozens of zombies screeched and charged at them. The result? Instant slaughter. One zombie tried to sneak attack Lightning from behind, grabbing onto its ankle and biting down furiously. But it didn't even leave a scratch. As Lightning casually lifted its foot and stepped back down, splat. The zombie was crushed into pulp. What was that? Lightning barely even noticed. Turning around, it only saw something sticky beneath its foot. But it couldn't be bothered to think about it. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. It rushed forward, and in just a few moments, it had annihilated another 40 or 50 zombies. And that was without using any weapons. Seeing such an overwhelming battle display, the two women were completely stunned. Lysian's mouth was literally hanging open. It could probably fit an entire banana. Neither of them stepped out of the car. For Lin Yuxi, that would be suicide. As for Lysian, she simply didn't want to bother. She needed some time to process this madness. Even though they had always known Yi Xiu was strong. Right now, they were starting to feel like he wasn't even on the same level as Lightning. If Yi Xiu had heard their conversation, he would have been furious. What kind of comparison is that? His strength stat was only 200. Sure, that was 20 times stronger than a normal human, thanks to Blood Butterfly's wrath. But Lightning? That thing had 2000 strength. 10 times his power. How was he supposed to compete with that? And that was just raw physical power. If Lightning went full firepower mode with its 4000 firepower stat, it would be pure destruction. So yeah. There was no comparison. By now, Yi Xiu had already killed dozens of zombies, collecting tons of attribute points. Even Recon Bird, worried for his safety, flapped around, using its miniature submachine guns to gun down any sneaky zombies trying to ambush him. Thus, before long, they had completely cleared out the 300 surrounding zombies. The scene was horrific. Not only was the air filled with the sickening stench of rotting flesh, but limbs and body parts were strewn everywhere. Lin Yuxi nearly threw up. Surprisingly, Lysian seemed unfazed. Probably because she had already killed so many herself. But the loot was worth it. Yi Xiu obtained 90 attribute points, 2 bottles of obedience water, 1 upgrade stone, 2 recovery serums, 1 purification serum. After storing everything, Yi Xiu turned to Lightning. Burn all the corpses. Understood. Without hesitation, Lightning switched to flamethrower mode and scorched the entire area, purging all evidence of the massacre. Even the air temperature rose significantly. Once the cleanup was done, Yi Xiu led the two women upstairs. Behind them, Venom, Ironhide, Lightning, and Veneno followed closely. Recon Bird led the way, scouting ahead. They eliminated any zombies that dared to block their path. After 20 minutes, they finally reached the top floor. Even before opening the door. Roar. A security guard zombie lunged at them. Splat. Yi Xiu casually sliced it apart. Then, he had Recon Bird unlock the hotel's security doors. Beep 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 beep. With a low hum, the massive golden metal doors slowly opened, revealing an ultra-luxurious penthouse inside. Wow! Even Lin Yuxi and Lysian were stunned by what they saw. Chapter 25, Today is an upgrade day. Of course. Yi Xiu had already checked this place thoroughly. It wasn't just a 950 square meter luxury penthouse suite. Above it, there was an equally large training room and gym. And on the very top floor, there was a private cinema and a swimming pool. Simply put, without at least a few $100 million, this place was impossible to buy. It was precisely because the Sky Garden was so extravagant and luxurious that Yi Xiu had chosen it. Even in the apocalypse, he refused to compromise on enjoyment. Alright, you two should also check around and see if there's anything wrong. Okay. Hearing this, Lin Yuxi and Lysian got up from the sofa and looked around. The place was spotless, as it hadn't been occupied frequently. It was only used occasionally for gatherings and was maintained by professional cleaners following hotel-level standards. At the very least, no one has lived here recently. Then we can stay without any worries, Lin Yuxi said. But Lysian didn't seem to care. She casually sat back on the sofa, crossing one long, slender leg over the other, then smirked. Even if someone had lived here, so what? We'd just take them out, and then it'd be ours. Lin Yuxi. She glanced at the younger girl speechlessly. Why did it feel like Lysian was getting more and more twisted? Alright. Seeing that everything was settled, Yi Xiu instructed the Recon Bird to locate the power control room and restore the electricity. Although the recon bird was technically a reconnaissance unit, its power supply was incredibly strong. Equivalent to a miniature nuclear reactor. So running out of energy was never a concern. Buzz. As the power was switched on, the entire sky garden came back to life. Apart from the lack of internet, everything else was functioning normally. Seeing this, the two women grew even more excited. Wow! Living here is going to be amazing. Now that we have power, everything is perfect? Licia immediately got up and eagerly inspected the household essentials. Let's see. Toothbrushes, toothpaste, towels. Not a lot of them. Looks like we need to go get some daily supplies tomorrow. The past few days had been spent gathering resources. Water, food, medicine. They had even stocked up on some clothes. But only now did they realize they were still missing some basic household items. Licia turned to Lin Yuxi, urging, Yuxi, think. What else are we missing? We don't want to realize too late that we forgot something important. How should I know? After days of non-stop work, Lin Yuxi's head was about to explode. For a moment, she couldn't think of anything, so she joked, maybe we should just have Yizayu bring in 2 more beauties. With more people, things will be easier to manage, right? What do you think, Yizayu? She deliberately turned to look at him. Ha! Yizayu just chuckled. She didn't even need to say it. He was already planning on that. After all, 100-fold return wouldn't be as effective with just 2 people. At least 10. Maybe even 8 would be better. So, he simply waved his hand, saying, don't worry, it'll happen. Haha. Lin Yuxi thought he was just joking and teased back, alright then, I'll go make dinner and wait. Perfect, I'm starving. I'll help you. After a whole day of work, both women headed to the kitchen to prepare dinner. Before long, the aroma of delicious food filled the air. Licia, who had been hungry all day, finally got to eat, though she still stuck mostly to vegetables. After finishing up, Yizayu took a quick shower and went to bed early. He hadn't had a proper rest in days. But now that he had recon bird, venom, lightning, and ironhide stationed outside, he could finally sleep soundly. That was the plan, at least. Until the middle of the night, when his door creaked open. A petite figure in a pink nightgown slipped in quietly. It was Licia. What are you doing here? A little embarrassed, she burrowed under the covers and murmured in a voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz, I'm a little scared tonight. So I came for protection. Scared? Yizayu raised an eyebrow. This afternoon, when you were slaughtering zombies, you weren't scared at all. And now you're scared? Come on. But since she was already here, well, let's just say the next 10,000 words have been omitted. By the next morning, it was already the 6th day since the apocalypse began. The weather was decent. Dressed and ready, Yizayu headed up to the rooftop to survey the city center. He noticed that the number of zombies had increased significantly. From time to time, the zombie hordes would break into chaos, stirred by the presence of survivors. But standing above it all, Yizayu remained calm. He had long since grown accustomed to the sight. In fact, from this vantage point, the view was even better than before. Caw, caw, caw. At that moment, in the distance, a massive mechanical bird flapped its wings and swiftly returned from the distance, landing on Yizayu's shoulder. Master. Its voice was hoarse and stuttering. How's the situation outside? Yizayu inquired. The recon bird responded immediately, I have scanned a 300-kilometer radius. This area has completely fallen. Last night, a military force attempted to advance from the northern suburbs, but they were overrun by zombies. Oh? Overrun by zombies? Yizayu thought he misheard. Are you sure it was the zombies that took them down? Why yes. Yes. The recon bird fawned. There were mutated zombies, extremely tall. About 4 to 5 meters high. They smashed through the military blockade. Also, at night, they seemed to be significantly faster. 4 to 5 meters tall. Mutated zombies. Yizayu was momentarily stunned. Zombies this powerful? It seems that as time passes, the zombies are evolving as well. Aside from this, did anything else happen? Yes. The recon bird's raspy voice continued. Yesterday, that special forces team raided a hospital and looted a large amount of medical equipment. They're now on the move, trying to leave Hueco City. Additionally, I detected a newly formed group of survivors gathering in the northern part of the city center. They call themselves the Redemption Sanctuary. Redemption Sanctuary? Yizayu shook his head. Never heard of them. But it didn't matter. Survivors today could easily become corpses tomorrow. Master. What are we doing today? The recon bird, still perched on Yizayu's shoulder, rasped cautiously as it watched him lost in thought. Yizayu suddenly snapped out of his thoughts and grinned. Of course. We're going to level up. He had spent days gathering resources but hadn't upgraded his own strength yet. If this continued, he'd soon fall behind even Li Xian. How embarrassing would that be? Let's go. Yizayu didn't take the stairs. Instead, he leapt straight off the 150-meter-high rooftop. The recon bird freaked out. Holy shit, boss, no. If you die, what happens to us? Just as it was about to dive down and rescue him, it froze in shock at what happened next. As Yizayu plummeted through the air, the moment he was about 50 meters from the ground, he suddenly activated Blood Butterfly's Wrath, thrusting it into the side of the building. ZZZZT. Sparks flew. With an unbelievably cool landing, he slid down the building, using the blade's friction to decelerate. And then, he landed gracefully on the ground. Rauar. From the distance, a horde of zombies had already caught the scent of a living human and came rushing toward him. But instead of being afraid, Yizayu cracked his shoulders, then calmly lifted his Blood Butterfly's Wrath and walked forward. Today was a day for leveling up. Chapter 26, I just went to recharge, and boss got kidnapped by a woman. Right now, Yizayu's defense had reached 270, his strength was at 200, and his agility had skyrocketed to a terrifying 300. That was over 30 times stronger than an average person. Dealing with these zombies was no challenge at all. With the recon bird assisting him, he wiped out all the zombies in just a moment. After counting, he realized he'd taken down more than 200 of them. The attribute points he gained amounted to 450, and combined with the 70 points he had collected earlier, he now had a total of 520 points. Without hesitation, Yizayu allocated all of them to his defense. He checked his stats: name, Yizayu, age, 21, level, 1, stamina, 20, strength, 420, agility, 310, defense, 770. What did this mean? It meant his defense was now 77 times that of a normal person. Yizayu examined his skin. At this point, he figured that even a tank shell probably wouldn't harm him. Just to be sure, he turned to the recon bird flapping its wings beside him and said, "Hit me." Gah! The recon bird, which had just landed proudly to claim credit, was so startled that its crimson mechanical eyes froze in shock. Did it hear wrong? Master. I admit my attack power isn't great, but I really think you shouldn't test this. After all, what if he accidentally injured his master? But Yizayu wasn't worried. He had recovery serum. Besides, with a defense of 770, he was itching to challenge Ironhide next. So, he didn't waste time and urged, "Hurry up." "Why yes, sir." Under orders, the recon bird had no choice but to flap its wings. As mechanical gears whirred and clicked, a built-in auto-can extended. With a firm resolve, it pulled the trigger. Tat-tat-tat. Several rounds fired at Yizayu. The result? Yizayu barely felt a tickle. "You didn't use full power?" Gah! The recon bird was stunned. Good lord, was its master's skin this thick? Seeing Yizayu completely unharmed, it had no choice but to unleash its full power. Tat-tat-tat. A barrage of mini auto-can fire rained down. To be fair, this thing was practically a Gatling gun. Yet, the result was the same. His clothes got shredded, but his body remained completely intact. As expected. Seeing how tough his skin was, Yizayu was quite pleased. With a defense 77 times stronger than an average human, it was harder than steel. No surprise it could withstand that kind of attack. The recon bird, flapping its wings, flew closer to suck up. "Master, your body is almost as tough as Ironhide. I'll go recharge for a bit, please wait a moment." With that, it flapped its wings and hurriedly flew up to the rooftop. "Oh? A survivor, huh?" Just as the recon bird left, a pleasant voice suddenly sounded from not far away. Yizayu turned his head and saw a group of survivors approaching, fully armed. Leading them was a woman wearing a bulletproof vest, exuding a post-apocalyptic vibe, with a mask covering her face. Her voice, however, was quite pleasant. Since Yizayu had practically vaporized every zombie he killed, the scene looked remarkably clean. However, seeing Yizayu in his tattered clothes, the woman assumed he was just a lucky ordinary person. With a slight smile, she asked, "Alone? Want to come with us?" "Come with you?" Yizayu raised an eyebrow in interest. "Who are you people? Who are we?" At this, the survivors burst into laughter. One of the lackeys carrying an axe scoffed, "Listen up. We're from the Blazing Rose. Letting you join is a favor. Don't be ungrateful. This place is crawling with zombies, and a horde could break out anytime." "Blazing Rose?" Yizayu tilted his head, then shook it. "Never heard of you." "Hey, kid. Hearing his dismissive tone, the lackey immediately got angry and stepped forward, ready to teach him a lesson. But before he could act, the woman stopped him with a wave. Instead of getting offended, she chuckled, not surprising. We've only been around for 4 days, but our shelter already has over 30 brothers and sisters. If you're interested, you can come with us. I'll protect you. Protect me? Yi Xiaoyu couldn't help but laugh. He hadn't expected someone to say that to him at this point. No need. You should focus on protecting yourselves instead. You. Not only did the woman, Anmyaksu, become displeased, but her lackeys immediately erupted in anger. Hey, punk. You think you're hot stuff? We're giving you a chance to join Blazing Rose, and you don't even appreciate it. No wonder you're still alone. Be careful. A zombie horde might break out and drown you. Ruar. Just as they were talking, a deep, guttural roar suddenly echoed from a distance. What was that? The unexpected noise made everyone tense up instantly. They fell silent, instinctively turning around. And when they did, their faces all darkened at once. From the shadows at the street corner, a massive zombie husky. Over 2 meters long, its body rotting, and its blood-red eyes filled with savage hunger. Slowly emerged. Everyone's faces immediately changed. Crap, it's a zombie beast? Clearly, none of them had expected to encounter a zombie beast. Unlike regular zombies, zombie beasts had evolved in a terrifying way. Somehow, they were immune to sunlight, their speed was incredibly fast, and their bodies grew even stronger than before the apocalypse. Among the undead, they were absolute nightmares. And it wasn't just this one. As the zombie husky stepped forward, more and more footsteps echoed from the surrounding darkness. This is a zombie horde. Even though Anmyaksu was wearing a mask, the fear in her voice was unmistakable. Damn it, you jinxed us. One of the survivors, furious, smacked the guy who had mentioned a zombie horde earlier. But now wasn't the time to argue. Run. Anmyaksu didn't hesitate. She spun around, drew her gun, and fired 2 shots at the husky. Bang. Bang. However, despite the bullets hitting their mark, the husky merely staggered from the impact. Its blood-red eyes flared with even greater ferocity. Then, tilting its head back, it let out a chilling howl. A woo-oo. Immediately, all the surrounding zombies responded with enraged roars, surging in from every direction. Anmyaksu didn't have time to think. Get in the car. She shouted to her team, then noticed Yi Xiaoyu still standing there, staring at the husky in fascination. Cursing under her breath, she rushed over, grabbed his arm, and yanked him onto the vehicle. What the hell are you waiting for? Run. Sure, this arrogant bastard had looked down on her earlier, but she couldn't just stand by and watch him get swallowed by the horde. With all 5 of them aboard. Vroom. Anmyaksu slammed the gas pedal. The Tank 300 roared forward, ramming into 2 zombies and sending them flying. But the zombies weren't about to let them escape so easily. With guttural snarls, they staggered and lunged from all directions, closing in fast. The noise from the vehicle was attracting even more of them. Every zombie lurking on the roadside was now rushing out to block their way. Luckily, the Tank 300 was equipped with reinforced bars, making it tough enough to plow through obstacles. After smashing through 7 or 8 zombies, Anmyaksu floored the accelerator, speeding off into the distance. Meanwhile, the recon bird, having just finished replenishing energy from lightning on the rooftop, flapped its wings and ascended. Only to freeze in shock as its crimson mechanical eyes took in the scene. Wait, what? I was gone for just a few minutes to recharge. And boss got kidnapped. Chapter 27, In this apocalypse, who doesn't die? Sob sob sob. The recon bird was completely dumbfounded. It never expected someone to have the audacity to abduct its master. After a brief moment of shock, it quickly snapped back to its senses. First, it sent a message to Lightning, then flapped its wings and shot off in pursuit. No way. What would happen if the boss was gone? Meanwhile, inside the speeding vehicle, the number of zombies swarming the streets was increasing rapidly. The woman driving was insanely fast. In the blink of an eye, she had already sped 2 miles away. Yet, even at this pace, the zombie husky was still relentlessly chasing them. After mutating, its speed had become terrifyingly fast. Boom. 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 It smashed through every obstacle in its path, charging straight at the Tank 300 without hesitation. Boss, it's catching up. Seeing the zombie husky getting closer, one of the lackeys turned pale and shouted in panic. Shut up. Anmyaksu wasn't blind. She had already seen it through the rearview mirror. All she could do now was keep slamming the gas pedal. The speedometer soared to 80 miles per hour, an insane speed for a city center filled with debris and wreckage. But the real problem was that more and more zombies were closing in from all directions. They were on the verge of getting surrounded. What do we do? We're about to be trapped. A lackey yelled in panic. Don't panic. Anmyaksu, experienced in survival, made a sharp drift, skillfully maneuvering into a narrow alleyway, successfully shaking off most of the pursuing zombies. Then, she immediately sped onto another road. At this moment, Yizayu was still processing the ridiculousness of the situation. He had just been downstairs, minding his own business killing zombies, when suddenly, bam! He got kidnapped by a woman. And now? They were about to leave the city center? Where the hell are you even taking me? Realizing the absurdity of the situation, Yizayu wasn't flustered at all. Instead, he was rather intrigued. Shut up. Anmyaksu snapped, too busy with a high-speed chase to entertain his nonsense. She stomped the accelerator again, pushing the tank 300 to its limits. After reaching a relatively safer road, she finally replied with a cold snort, "Relax, with me around, you won't die." Yizayu chuckled. "I won't die, sure. But looks like your little underling won't be so lucky." What? Anmyaksu wasn't paying attention before, but after hearing Yizayu's words, she quickly glanced at the back seat. And sure enough, one of her lackeys, Zhao Zhang, had been scratched by a zombie while firing his gun earlier. Now, his entire body was trembling violently. The other two lackeys panicked. "Hey, Zhao Zhang. Don't you die on us. If you don't get better soon, we'll have to throw you out." After all, they had fought side by side for days. No one wanted to abandon a comrade. But if they didn't, he would turn into a zombie soon. Anmyaksu made a swift decision. "Throw him out." "No, boss." Zhao Zhang was terrified, his voice trembling. I can still hold on." "Hold on? Hold on, my ass." Rolling her eyes, Anmyaksu could tell at a glance that he was done for. Over the past few days, she had witnessed too much death to hesitate anymore. But before she could act, "Let me handle it." Yizayu suddenly spoke. Before anyone could react. Swing. A cold flash of light flickered. Splat. Zhao Zhang's arm was severed instantly. Ahhh. Zhao Zhang let out a blood-curdling scream, nearly passing out from the pain. WTF, dude? Why the hell did you cut his arm off? Relax. Yizayu calmly wiped his autumn leaf blade with a cloth and replied nonchalantly, "My blade's disinfected. Maybe it'll cleanse the zombie infection too." What? A knife that could purge zombie infection? What kind of bulls was this? But before they could call him crazy. To their shock, Zhao Zhang actually stopped turning into a zombie. Everyone was stunned. Holy shit, Zhao Zhang really seems fine now. Fine, my A. I'm about to fking die. Though Zhao Zhang had avoided zombification, he had lost an entire arm and was now losing blood rapidly. One of the lackeys, Xin Yaozi, panicked. "Boss. Zhao Zhang's still gonna die at this rate. You guys are so damn troublesome." Anmyaksu, frustrated, glanced ahead and noticed a military medical station in the distance. Who knew how far they had driven, but at least they'd shaken off the zombies. She quickly pulled over. "Get out. We need to find shelter." "Oh. Okay." The group, now down to 4, hurried into what looked like an abandoned military base. By now, the sky had darkened considerably. 4 people dragging a half-dead comrade staggered forward. But then... roar. Suddenly, Zhao Zhang's eyes turned blood red, and he lunged at Xin Yaozi. WTF, Zhao Zhang. You still turned? Before anyone could react. Watch out. Yizayu instinctively yanked Anmyaksu back. At the same time. Swing. A single slash cut Zhao Zhang clean in half. Blood splattered everywhere. Xin Yaozi, who had been scratched, began growling hoarsely. A sign of turning. Ah. 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 At this moment, the most cowardly survivor completely lost his mind. Watching his teammates drop one by one, he snapped and started running around in panic. Anmyaksu yelled, "Are you fucking insane? Calm the hell down." But before she could finish. Roar. From the shadows, another zombie pounced on him. Anmyaksu froze for a moment, then sighed with surprising indifference. Well. Guess they're all dead now. She nonchalantly bashed her infected comrade's skull in with a baseball bat, putting him down for good. Then, she turned to Yizayu. Looks like it's just the two of us now. Come on. Without hesitation, she dragged him into the abandoned military compound. Inside, she swiftly located a basement entrance and pulled open a wooden hatch. Seeing Yizayu's confused expression, she explained, "Relax. This is one of my temporary safe houses. We've been hiding like this for days. Come inside. Zombies get even faster at night. We can't go back out." Yizayu studied Anmyaksu curiously. "You don't seem very sad about their deaths." Duh. She scoffed, shut the basement door, and muttered, Thousands die every day in this apocalypse. Even my best friend tried to bite my face off. What's there to be sad about? She casually pulled out a flashlight, then lit an oil lamp, illuminating a makeshift survival map in the corner. But despite her words, Yizayu noticed that, as soon as she sat down, she hugged her knees, her shoulders trembling slightly. His expression turned odd. Are you crying? No, I'm not. She buried her face in her knees, her voice choking up after just a few seconds. I'm not crying. What's there to cry about? This happens every day. Sob sob sob. My little brothers. My poor, newly recruited little brothers. Yizayu. Damn, girl. Still claiming you're not crying, huh? You're bawling your eyes out. Chapter 28, wait, this is the same woman from before? Heavens have mercy. Yizayu thought he had just met a future apocalyptic overlord of Hueco City. But now, looking at her, she was crying her heart out in the blink of an eye. Alright, like you said, is there ever a day when people don't die? Yizayu wasn't sure how to comfort her, so he just said whatever came to mind. Shut up, you. But the more he spoke, the harder Miyaksu cried. Sure, people die every day, but watching your brothers and sisters fall one by one right before your eyes. Who could bear that? Especially since these were the subordinates who had been with her the longest. And they were the most capable ones too. I've only been boss for a few days, and now I'm down to just 30 people. And I'm trapped here myself, Yizayu. He was starting to wonder. Was this woman crying for her fallen subordinates, or was she crying because she could no longer be the boss? Roar. Just then, a deep growl came from above. Quiet. Yizayu immediately became alert and whispered a warning. Miyaksu had also sensed the abnormality and quickly stopped sobbing. Her big, teary eyes were still glistening, but she was so frightened that she shut her mouth tight and whispered to Yizayu, Don't make a sound. These zombies are much more dangerous at night. They're faster than normal people. 1 or 2 might be manageable. But zombies always come in hordes. Especially in this place. There were quite a few of them. It was like facing dozens, maybe even hundreds of ordinary people alone. And they don't feel pain. You could strike them down endlessly, but if they land even a single hit on you, you're done for. Yet Yizayu didn't even turn his head. He just kept his eyes fixed on the wooden ladder leading up. You think I don't know that? That sentence made Miyaksu pause, and a thought suddenly struck her. Wait a minute. You've been alone in the city center all this time, and you're still alive? And there aren't even any zombies around you? Plus, you're carrying a blade on you? You know more about this than I do. Hey. Yizayu chuckled at that. He was just about to tease her for only realizing this now. But in the next second, his pupils shrank sharply. Because Miyaksu was now holding a pistol, trembling as she aimed it at him. Whoa. What the hell are you doing? Why you stay back? I won't kill you, but don't you dare try anything, or I'll shoot. Miyaksu had finally pieced it together. Yeah, right. How could someone survive alone in the city center without any zombies around them and still claim to be an ordinary person? Yizayu's heart clenched for a moment, but then he quickly remembered. TCH, I have 77 times the defense. What the hell am I scared of? But just as fast, his expression changed. Hey, you're bleeding. Oh, come on. Miyaksu thought he was trying to trick her. Nice try. Does he really think I'm that easy to fool? But a second later, she realized something was wrong. Her arm. There really was blood dripping from it. Ah! She shrieked, her pretty face turning pale. I'm bleeding. I've been infected by a zombie? No. I'm going to die. She never expected to get infected herself. But then, strangely enough, the panic on her face faded into calm acceptance. She plopped down on a sheepskin map, closed her eyes, and muttered, so what? If I die, I die. Most of my people are already dead anyway. What's the point of living? Might as well let the infection take me. Hey. She lazily glanced at Yizayu and said, there's some rope over there. I'm about to turn into a zombie, so tie me up. That way, you'll be safe. But let's be clear. Tying me up is one thing, but don't even think about trying anything else. This woman. Yizayu was utterly speechless. You just scraped yourself. See that nail over there? Finally, unable to take it anymore, Yizayu pointed at the rusty nail sticking out of the table. Miyaksu, who had just been resigned to death, opened her eyes in an instant and rushed over to check. Sure enough, it was just a scrape. Her mood did a complete 180. Oh, so that's what happened. So I'm fine after all. She let out a sigh of relief. Thank goodness. I'm still alive. Yizayu had completely given up trying to figure this woman out. So dramatic. How has she even survived this long? But then again, maybe this kind of personality is exactly why she managed to survive. Carefree, and totally unbothered. Still, seeing her so thrilled, Yizayu felt the need to remind her. That was a rusty nail. Watch out for the tetanus blade. If the wound gets infected, a fever could kill you too. It's fine. But Onmyoku had a bag with her. She pulled out some bandages and an iodine disinfectant. I'll just clean it up real quick. Need help? She hesitated for a moment. It was a bit tricky to do on her own. Alright, I'll trouble you then. No worries. Yizayu stepped forward and carefully wiped the wound clean. Her skin was surprisingly fair. But that wasn't the point. After applying the disinfectant, he wrapped it up neatly with sterile gauze. It stung a little, but for some reason, Onmyoku found herself studying Yizayu's face. Hey, don't you think we might have met before? Somehow, he looked a little familiar. Not a chance, Yizayu shot her down without hesitation. Why not? Onmyoku was taken aback. Because I have no idea what you even look like. Ah. Right. She was still wearing a mask. For a moment, she felt a little embarrassed. After a brief hesitation, she finally reached up, lifting her slender, snow-white arm to remove the black mask. As her long black hair cascaded over her shoulders, her stunning face was revealed. And up close, with those cool, almond-shaped eyes and long, fluttering lashes. She was breathtakingly beautiful. Chapter 29, How about we sleep together? Onmyoku. Wait a second. Yizayu was utterly stunned as he took in the breathtaking beauty before him. He never expected that this carefree and reckless woman would turn out to be this gorgeous. But the most outrageous part? Yizayu actually recognized her. Onmyoku? Yizayu. It's really you? After a brief moment of shock, Onmyoku's delicate face lit up with disbelief, quickly replaced by overwhelming joy. Then, unable to hold back her emotions any longer, she threw herself straight into his arms. Whoa whoa whoa. Who would have thought that even in the apocalypse, she'd run into an old friend? With her soft body in his embrace, Yizayu stood there, completely dumbfounded. No mistake. He really did know this woman. She was his elementary school classmate. And back then, she was the same little girl who used to bully him and even made him call her wifey. Who would have thought? Yizayu sighed, a bit emotional. You actually grew up to be this pretty. I remember you were pretty average as a kid. Get lost. Onmyoku's cheeks flushed red at the insult. Haven't you heard of the you ugly duckling transformation? Fair enough. Yizayu gave her a once-over and had to admit, the change was drastic. If it weren't for that beauty mark at the corner of your eye and your unmistakable personality, I probably wouldn't have recognized you. He pointed at the tiny mark near her eye. But Onmyoku just pursed her lips. I've actually thought you looked familiar from the start. Otherwise, I wouldn't have brought you along. She had a hunch, but she never expected it to actually be him. The memories of their childhood made her blush all over again. Yizayu, however, was puzzled. How did you end up like this? She opened her small, rosy lips, but as she spoke, her expression darkened. Still, she forced a nonchalant tone. I was in school. But before I could even graduate, the apocalypse happened. My best friend tried to bite me, so I ran. Thanks to the self-defense and survival skills my dad taught me, I managed to form the Blazing Rose group. As for the mask, you don't even need to ask. Onmyoku pursed her lips. With a face this stunning, if I didn't wear a mask, I probably wouldn't have survived long enough to form a team. She had a point. Yizayu nodded. He had to admit, with her looks, if she hadn't hidden her face, she would have probably ended up as someone's cage pet by now. But then, Onmyoku grinned playfully, tilting her head. So, you do think I'm beautiful? How about this? I'll give you another chance. Call me wifey again. Yizayu, can you focus on the important part here? Well. Onmyoku realized her own embarrassment and quickly changed the topic. I built up the Blazing Rose group, planning to make it stronger. Then I ran into you, and, well, you know the rest. Yizayu chuckled softly, shaking his head in amusement. Some things never changed. This woman still loved playing the boss. But wow. I really never expected to find you here. Her focus had completely shifted from her so-called organization. Instead, she clung to Yizayu's arm, beaming with joy. Running into you, and knowing you're still alive. It's amazing. She was so happy, she nearly kissed him. Roar. But a deep growl from above quickly silenced her. She instantly calmed down and whispered, Don't worry, we're safe here. They won't find us. By morning, my subordinates will notice I'm missing and come looking. Once they bring weapons, we'll be fine. For now, we should rest. Ugh. Why do I feel so dizzy? Onmyaku assumed it was just nerves. But Yizayu noticed something strange. Her cheeks were flushed. He reached out to touch her forehead. And immediately frowned. You're burning up. Huh? Onmyaku blinked in confusion. I'm not running a fever, am I? Yizayu quickly pulled a thermometer out of his space ring, as if performing a magic trick. He helped her sit against the wall. Here, hold this under your arm. Wait. A thermometer? Onmyaku was completely dumbfounded. Who the hell carries a thermometer in the apocalypse? But was this really the issue right now? Hurry up. Oh. Still in shock, she obediently placed it under her armpit. Meanwhile, Yizayu looked around for a better place for her to rest. But Onmyaku grabbed his arm, flashing a charming smile. I can just lean on you. Before he could even refuse, she rested her head on his shoulder, looking perfectly content. 5 minutes later. Yizayu checked the thermometer. 39 degrees? Huh? That high? Onmyaku stared at the reading in disbelief. I don't even feel sick. Of course, you don't. You've been running on adrenaline all day. Yizayu rolled his eyes. Onmyaku turned red with embarrassment, but as she thought about it, she did feel heavier. Yeah, her head was getting foggier. Yizayu didn't need to guess. She was definitely running a fever. He carefully laid her down and pulled out some antipyretic pills. Here, take 2. You even carry fever medicine. Are you gonna take it or not? I want to, but I don't have any water. No problem. I do. Like a human treasure chest, Yizayu pulled out a bottle of mineral water from his pocket. Onmyaku was stunned. She stared at him, slack-jawed. Dude, are you a walking Doberman? Where the hell are you pulling all this stuff from? Something like that. Now take your medicine. For some reason, giving her pills was turning into a hassle. So Yizayu didn't even bother asking. He just shoved them into her hand. Gulp. After swallowing the pills with a few sips of water, Onmyaku already felt a little better. Here, cover up. Yizayu took out a military coat. Something he had casually grabbed from a supermarket earlier. And draped it over her. Even after taking the medicine, Onmyaku started shivering. It's so cold. Don't worry. I'm here. You'll be fine. After all, Yizayu still had recovery serum. He could cure pretty much anything. For some reason, even though they hadn't seen each other in years, being with Yizayu still made Onmyaku feel safe. She leaned against him, completely at ease. But Yizayu gently moved her to the side, pulling over a military sleeping bag that had been left in the room. He laid it out and tucked her in properly. Seeing him give her all the blankets, Onmyaku hesitated. What about you? You're just going to sleep like that? The nights have been getting colder. I'll be fine. With his enhanced constitution, even -100 degrees wouldn't freeze him. But Onmyaku still didn't feel right about it. After a pause, she suddenly lifted her blanket, revealing a hint of warmth under the flickering oil lamp. Her face was slightly flushed. How about we sleep together? Yizayu. Chapter 30, Welcome to the team. That suggestion left Yizayu completely speechless. Sure, he had to admit. This woman was a natural beauty, the kind no man could easily refuse. But for the sake of her health, he chose to sit beside her instead. This is fine. Just go to sleep, he said. No way. Onmyaku refused, sitting up as well. She leaned against Yizayu's shoulder and draped the military coat over both of them. Flashing a charming smile from up close, she said, there. Much better now. Yizayu. Why is she so much trouble? But in the end, he didn't push her away. And just like that, the two of them spent the night together. The next morning the first thing Yizayu did was check Onmyaku's forehead. Her fever had gone down, and she looked a lot better. He boiled some water and cooked 2 eggs for her to eat. But just as she finished them, a system notification popped up, ding. Congratulations. You fed Onmyaku 2 eggs. Now receiving 200 eggs in return, Yizayu froze. Damn, it even works now. But he didn't think much of it. After giving Onmyaku's wound a quick check and confirming she was fine, he clapped his hands. Alright, let's head out. Okay. Feeling much better, Onmyaku stood up, eager to lead the way. You just follow me. But this time, Yizayu stepped in front of her. No need. I'll protect you instead. Wait. You're protecting me? Onmyaku blinked her beautiful eyes at him, looking very skeptical. Are you serious? Yizayu chuckled. What a joke. 30 times agility, 40 times strength. If he couldn't protect this little girl, that'd be embarrassing. You protected me yesterday. Today, I'll protect you. Stay close to me. With that, Yizayu climbed up the ladder and pushed open the wooden door. The moment it cracked open. Roar. A zombie lunged forward. Clearly, it had been waiting. But before it could react. Swish. A silver blade flashed. Its head rolled straight to the ground. Onmyaku stared in shock. Holy shit, that was fast. But that wasn't all. As they climbed out and scanned their surroundings, Onmyaku thought they were in the clear. Then. Rustle, rustle. A faint noise came from the bushes. Suddenly. A massive, rotting claw shot out. Onmyaku's face instantly paled. It's the zombie husky from yesterday. A 2-meter-long zombie husky crawled out of the brush. Its blood-red eyes locked onto them, filled with pure bloodlust. It had clearly been lurking here all night. Onmyaku panicked. It's been waiting here the whole time. We have to leave, Yizayu. She grabbed his arm, lowering her voice urgently. In the apocalypse, zombies made from humans slow down significantly during the day. But animals. They don't just get bigger. They also become faster and stronger. This thing is nothing like a normal zombie. A 2-meter-long husky zombie has endurance, strength, and speed. Before she could even finish. Slash. Yizayu swung his blade. A purple-red glow flashed. And just like that, the zombie husky was sliced clean in half. Onmyaku was stunned. What? For someone with days of survival experience, this scene was unreal. Her big, beautiful eyes widened in pure disbelief. Wait. You're this strong? No wonder you were so calm yesterday. She finally realized. When she dragged Yizayu into her car, thinking she was saving him. He was the one who didn't need saving at all. Oh my god. This is so embarrassing. Her face turned completely red. You're this strong, and you didn't tell me? She huffed, pouting. Yizayu shrugged innocently. You never asked. Also, you didn't even give me a chance to speak. You just dragged me away and told me to shut up. You. Onmyaku opened her mouth, then froze. Yeah. He wasn't wrong. Damn. If she had known he was this powerful, she wouldn't have lost 3 of her men yesterday. Vroom. 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 Just then, engine noises rumbled in the distance. Onmyaku's eyes lit up. My men are here to get me. She quickly pulled up her mask again. Sure enough. 3 vehicles sped toward them, kicking up dust. As soon as they stopped, over a dozen people jumped out. They rushed straight to Onmyaku. Boss. Are you okay? Did you get hurt? Everyone started talking at once. I'm fine. With her subordinates around, Onmyaku's voice immediately turned cold and distant. She simply shook her head. Good. Hearing that, her men visibly relaxed. But then. Wait. What the hell is that? One of them gasped. Everyone turned to look. And saw the 2-meter-long zombie husky, sliced clean in half. They all stared in shock. Shit. A zombie beast? And a monster this big? No way. Who the hell took this thing down? Boss. It wasn't you, was it? One of the younger guys stared at Onmyaku in disbelief. Holy crap, when did our boss get this badass? Me? Onmyaku nearly choked on her own breath. Hell no. If she had that kind of power, she wouldn't have been running for her life yesterday. But she kept her cool and simply pointed at Yizayu. It was him. Him? Everyone finally noticed Yizayu, assuming he was some new recruit. The young guy stepped forward, sizing Yizayu up. Not bad, bro. Taking down a zombie beast is no joke. Name's Liu Yang. One of Boson's men. Just call me Yang Tsai. We're all family here. Yeah. A few others enthusiastically stepped forward. Joking aside. Anyone who could kill a zombie beast was a total powerhouse. Damn, their boss was awesome. She had recruited such a strong fighter. The future of Blazing Rose looked brighter than ever. Onmyaku, watching her subordinates suck up to Yizayu, felt a massive headache coming on. Hello? The boss is standing right here. Can you guys chill? But she held back, keeping her voice calm. He's not my subordinate. Wait, what? The group froze. Shit, he's not? For a second, Yizayu thought they were about to switch attitudes. But then, Liu Yang suddenly stuck out his hand, grinning. Welcome to the team. Yizayu. Onmyaku. Chapter 31, Yizayu. Let me introduce you to my little brothers. Yizayu was stunned. Wait, why are they welcoming me into the group? He wasn't the only one losing it. Onmyaku was just about done with this nonsense. Clenching her teeth, she barely restrained her bossy temper. Liu Yang, I said. Yizayu is not joining us. I know. But Liu Yang nodded confidently, as if it was only a matter of time. He just hasn't joined yet. Boss, All you have to do is make it official. He actually thought Anmyaksu was just being shy about it. A powerhouse like this, and you don't want him in the team? Boss, are you crazy? Anmyaksu. Screw you, Liu Yang. If she could make Yizayu join, would she even be having this conversation? Before she could explode, another subordinate rushed over with bad news. Boss, I've got some really bad news. Anmyaksu, already annoyed, frowned. What news? What could possibly be worse than losing 3 of my men? The guy hesitated before speaking. Yesterday afternoon, the Zhang family estate found our shelter. They gave us an ultimatum. By today we either surrender or they'll blow up our base. Zhang family? Anmyaksu's face darkened slightly. Never thought those bastards would set their sights on us. The subordinate sighed. With the apocalypse in full swing, all of Hueco City is in chaos. The Zhang family from East City has been using this to expand their power. We can't go up against them. Yizayu had heard this name before. Now that it came up again, he raised an eyebrow. East City's Zhang family. Are they really that powerful? More than powerful. One of the guys exaggerated dramatically. You don't know? Zhang Tanyang, the Zhang family's head, was a real estate tycoon. But he started out in the underworld. He's got tons of criminal connections. And somehow, he knew about the apocalypse in advance. So before it happened, he gathered over 100 elite men from his company. They fortified their Zhang family estate and kept growing. Now, they're probably the strongest faction in Hueco City. 100 men? Yizayu frowned. That's not a lot, is it? Not a lot? Of course not. Even Liu Yang thought that was nothing. 100 people? That's barely enough for zombies to snack on. But the problem is, they have a ton of weapons. Yizayu's eyes sharpened. Oh? They have military weapons? Liu Yang nodded grimly. Yeah, they do. Before the apocalypse, the Zhang family spent billions buying a whole arsenal. Regular guns and bullets? Of course. But they've also got armored vehicles, tanks, grenade launchers, and even an armed helicopter. That got Yizayu's attention. His eyes lit up. Military vehicles were one thing. But an armed helicopter? That was next level. If he got his hands on that. Damn. Yizayu couldn't even imagine how exciting that would be. Meanwhile, Liu Yang kept rambling, totally unaware of Yizayu's calculating stare. We've barely survived 7 days, and they've already grown to over 400 people. They're hoarding supplies like crazy. And anyone who refuses to join them, they kill them all. At this rate, they're gonna become the biggest power in Hueco City. After all, how the hell are normal people supposed to fight against an armed helicopter? Meanwhile, Yizayu was already making plans. An armed helicopter was a huge deal. In a world where ground vehicles were easily blocked by zombies, air dominance equals survival. If he could get that thing operational. Damn. Liu Yang, still clueless, kept shaking his head. But us? We have 30 people. And barely 15 guns. We don't stand a chance. So what's your plan? Yizayu finally spoke. Anmyaksu, who had been silent, sighed. She wasn't going to force her men to fight. If you guys want to surrender, I won't stop you. Survival comes first. Her subordinates looked at each other. Then, after a brief silence, Liu Yang spoke first. We'll do whatever you say, boss. Yeah. If Bossan says fight, we fight. You saved our lives. We follow you. My daughter would have died without you, boss. I'm not abandoning you. Same here. A middle-aged man nodded. Without Anmyaksu, he and his family would be dead. There was no way he'd betray her. And then, one of them spoke up. I heard that Zhang Danyang is a real piece of shit. He treats survivors like garbage. He's executed people for making tiny mistakes. If we go there, we'll just end up as disposable grunts. Liu Yang nodded firmly. Exactly. I'd rather die fighting than be some rich prick's attack dog. Anmyaksu was deeply moved. She hadn't saved them for loyalty, but in the end, they really had her back. The problem? Their strength was a joke. She took a deep breath. All right. Then we fight. But then, Yizayu raised an eyebrow. You guys only have a few people and barely any guns. How exactly are you planning to fight? Liu Yang and the others, They scratched their heads, realizing. Shit. They had zero firepower. We can't just sit here and wait to be killed, though. Damn it, if only we had heavy weapons. Liu Yang punched a nearby tree in frustration. Then, Anmyaksu suddenly remembered something. Wait. I might have a plan. Everyone stared at her. I know where there's a weapons cache. A military armory left behind by some station troops before the apocalypse. A weapons cache? The group immediately perked up. If they could get military-grade firearms, they might actually stand a chance against the Zhang family estate. But there's a problem. Unmyaksu's voice turned serious. That place is guarded by a tyrant zombie. A tyrant. The group froze. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, Yizayu's eyes gleamed. Perfect? Everyone else? Unmyaksu? A tyrant? Holy shit, are you serious? The group had been ecstatic at the mention of a weapons cache. But the moment they heard the second half of the sentence, they froze. Wait. Are we talking about the same monster that showed up when that rescue team was ambushed downtown the other night? Liu Yang gulped. He vividly remembered that night. A 4 to 5 meter tall monstrosity that effortlessly lifted a car and smashed it into survivors like a toy. Damn it, if that thing's there, how the hell are we supposed to get inside? If a tyrant locked onto them, they'd be dead before they could even run. That was exactly why Miyaksu had never dared to enter. If not for the tyrant guarding it, she would have looted the place long ago. But then, Yizayu spoke up. I can help you with that. You. Miyaksu gave him a weird look. Her subordinates also turned to stare at Yizayu. Wait. Does this guy even know what a tyrant is? Bro, this isn't a joke. Yeah. Do you even understand what a tyrant is? Liu Yang hesitated, grateful for Yizayu's offer, but still felt the need to explain. A tyrant is a mutated zombie. It's 4 to 5 meters tall with insane strength. It can lift a damn car and use it as a weapon. Its skin is so tough, even a tank shell can't kill it. Listen, man. We get that you're strong. You soloed that zombie husky. But that thing was nothing compared to a tyrant. If it were easy, the military wouldn't have retreated the other night. Those tyrants had been way too terrifying. But Yi Zayu just smirked. Relax. Not to brag, but with his current strength, 40x power boost, a one-on-one fight with a tyrant wasn't even a real challenge. And more importantly, a tyrant was basically a boss-level monster. If he took it down, there was a huge chance it would drop something good. Plus, I also have a few subordinates who might be able to help. Vroom. 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 Before anyone could even react, a deafening roar echoed through the mountainside highway. The group instinctively turned toward the noise. What the hell? Were their ears playing tricks on them? Who the hell was driving a supercar in the apocalypse? The next second, a convoy of supercars and trucks appeared. Everyone was stunned. A Lamborghini Aventador. A Lamborghini Veneno. A Ford Raptor pickup. A Pagani Huara. What the hell? Dude, what the fuck? How the hell are people still driving these things? They thought they were hallucinating. But before they could even react, screech. The 4 vehicles came to a stop, surrounding them. Ka-chunk. 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 Loud mechanical noises erupted. The sound of metal gears shifting echoed through the air. And then, before their very eyes, 4 towering mechanical giants unfolded from the cars. In the blink of an eye, the smallest of them stood 6 meters tall. And they were all armed to the teeth. They had been surrounded. The group stood there, completely speechless. Liu Yang. Unmyaksu. Everyone else. What the actual fuck? Chapter 32, The Recon Bird's Fierce Aerial Battle. That's right. It was Ironhide, Venom, Lightning, and Veneno. After Yi Zayu was abducted yesterday, the Recon Bird immediately alerted the big guys. As soon as they heard that their boss was missing, they roared out of the underground parking lot of Sky Garden without hesitation. Unfortunately, while tailing the kidnappers, the Recon Bird encountered a few zombie birds blocking the way. After an intense aerial battle, it finally managed to take them down. But when it turned back around, the vehicle had completely vanished. So, the Recon Bird searched frantically and finally located Yi Zayu in the morning. Caw-caw. Caw-caw. Master. The Recon Bird flapped its wings excitedly and flew over, landing on Yi Zayu's shoulder with a fawning look. Meanwhile, Unmyaksu and the others were utterly stunned. Especially Liu Yang and his group of lackeys. Staring at the towering mechanical giants, each no less than 6 meters tall, cold sweat began to bead on their foreheads. With their heavy metallic bodies exuding an aura of mystery, combined with their massive frames and intricately designed mechanical structures, they looked overwhelmingly intimidating. And the laser cannons forming in their hands. Damn, those things were bigger than a wash basin. Why did these things look even scarier than the tyrant zombie? Where the hell did they come from? Aliens? Luckily, Yi Zayu spoke up at this moment. No need to panic. Let me introduce you. These are my little brothers. What the hell? Liu Yang and the others were filled with question marks. Wait. Brother. No, big brother, these. These are your little brothers? Liu Yang cautiously eyed the four unparalleled mechanical life forms. Holy shit, is this real? You built them? They thought Yi Xiu had modified them himself. Something like that. Yi Xiu wasn't about to reveal that he possessed a spark energy core, so he gave a vague response. At that moment, Ironhide's mechanical voice rang out with deep respect as he apologized. Apologies, Creator, we arrived late. You're not late. Yi Xiu waved his hand. You came at just the right time. They were just about to head to that so-called military base. With these guys around, not only would they have better security, but they might also be able to scavenge some good supplies. However, he didn't see Lin Yuxi or Li Xian. Where are Yuxi and Xian? Creator, I thought it would be too dangerous for them to travel, so I left them at Sky Garden under the watch of Veneno's two mechanical dogs. They will be safe. That's right, Veneno even came with two mechanical dogs. They resembled those single-eyed robotic hounds from movies. While they couldn't take on large transformers, they were more than enough to deal with zombies. Yi Xiu nodded. That works out. Now that you're all here, let's go together. Yes, Creator. Receiving their orders, the four mechanical giants swiftly confirmed that the surrounding humans were not enemies. Then, with a series of metallic clicks and gear rotations, they transformed back into off-road vehicles and supercars. A group of stunned lackeys remained, utterly speechless. These guys were seriously advanced. Even Miyaksu looked at Yi Xiu differently, her beautiful eyes flashing with admiration. I didn't expect this, Yi Xiu. After all these years, you've become a scientist? A scientist? That remark nearly made Yi Xiu go numb. Holy crap. Are these guys really that easy to fool? I just vaguely said I made them, and they actually believed me? Well, that works too. Saves me from having to explain. So, he simply said, let's check it out first. Alright. Miyaksu assumed these mechanical beings were just large, strong robots and didn't think too much about it. Right now, getting to the military armory was the priority. She nodded and instructed her lackeys to get in the cars. Yi Xiu and Miyaksu rode together. Soon, with a deep roar of engines, the Lamborghini Veneno sped ahead, followed by Venom, Ironhide, and Lightning, with the rest of the convoy trailing behind. A massive team surged forward, leaving the military station behind. About 30 minutes later, they arrived at the military armory Miyaksu had mentioned. The road led deep into the mountains, and when they reached a narrow pass between two gorges, they spotted a stone monument overhead, engraved with the words, Military Area, No Entry. But at this point, none of that mattered anymore. It's just up ahead, Miyaksu pointed from the passenger seat. Got it. Yi Xiu signaled Veneno to keep driving. Soon, they arrived at a fenced-off area with large iron gates. Above the entrance, a sign read, Temporary Backup Military Armory. After stepping out of the vehicle, Miyaksu's long legs strode across the grass as she pointed. This is it. Last time we were here, we didn't dare get too close. There were just too many zombies. To be honest, Yi Xiu took a glance inside and realized there were still a ton of them. At least a few hundred. Inside, the zombies staggered about, letting out guttural roars. Since it was daytime, the zombies' movements had slowed down. But the moment they saw so many vehicles and the survivors stepping out, their bloodshot eyes lit up with excitement. They staggered forward, rushing toward the group. Quick, prepare for battle. Liu Yang and the others reacted swiftly, immediately raising their guns, ready to open fire and clear out the zombies first. However, before they could even pull the trigger. Clank, clank, clank. A series of mechanical clicks echoed as Ironhide transformed once again, returning to his towering 7-meter-tall form. His arm swiftly morphed into a massive laser cannon. Boom. A terrifying blue energy blast shot out, slamming into the densely packed zombies on the field. A deafening explosion erupted. In an instant, 50 to 60 zombies were vaporized. Holy shit. Liu Yang, who had just been about to fire, was left utterly dumbfounded. He sucked in a sharp breath, too shocked to even curse properly. Ironhide's deep mechanical voice rumbled, "What are you standing around for? Take them out." Ah. Oh. Right. Snapping back to his senses, Liu Yang became thrilled. Damn. With these guys on their side, what were they even afraid of? He quickly shouted to his men, "Come on, take them out. Charge." His subordinates were just as pumped, opening fire wildly at the incoming zombies. None of them had expected Yi Xiu's modified mechanical brothers to be this overpowered. This firepower. Damn, they could probably level the entire temporary armory if they wanted to. And as they fought, a bizarre thought popped into their heads. Wait a minute. If these guys are this insanely powerful, do we even need to come here for weapons to fight the Zhang family? But at this moment, none of that mattered. With the zombies closing in, they were completely fired up, unloading bullets like crazy. Within just a few moments, the hundreds of zombies on the field had been almost completely wiped out. However, with all the noise they were making, Yizayu soon realized something. Those few hundred zombies had only been the tip of the iceberg. From deep within the massive armory base, even more zombies came surging out. Thousands of them. It was practically a mini-zombie horde. They had clearly been stirred up completely. But with the big guys here, there was nothing to fear. Boom. 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 With each shot from Ironhide's cannon, entire clusters of zombies were obliterated. Not to mention Venom, Lightning, and Veneno. Those three were just as relentless. In less than 2 minutes, the entire military armory was nearly reduced to rubble under the relentless bombardment. As the smoke and dust settled, just when everyone thought the battle was over and it was time to head inside. Bang. 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 Suddenly, Liu Yang felt his heart pounding wildly, a deep sense of dread creeping in. That feeling. It made his chest feel like it was about to explode. This is bad. It's a tyrant zombie. He shouted. Boom. Just as he spoke, an enormous black figure burst out from one of the warehouses within the base, letting out a deafening roar that felt like it could tear through their eardrums. Everyone turned. And at that moment, they finally saw its true form. Chapter 33, Killing the Tyrant Zombie, Obtaining a Legendary Weapon? The monstrous zombie that appeared was covered in sharp spikes. Unlike ordinary zombies, its body wasn't severely rotted, and its eyes weren't red but a deep, eerie green that glowed ominously. This is a tyrant zombie? Damn, it's huge. At a towering 4 meters tall, with thick, muscular arms and a deafening roar, the sight alone made the lackeys shudder in fear. They had no doubt. If that thing punched them, they'd be reduced to a bloody pulp. And sure enough, as soon as the tyrant stepped forward and saw the battlefield littered with craters and the torn remains of zombies, its fury exploded. Roar. With an earth-shaking roar, it swung a massive fist at a nearby wall. Boom. The wall cracked and caved in instantly. Holy shit. Liu Ying's eyes widened in terror. With that kind of strength, how the hell were they supposed to fight it? This was Yizayu's first time seeing a tyrant zombie in person. Although the recon bird had mentioned them before, he hadn't paid much attention. But now, after witnessing its sheer size and power, he had to admit. It was pretty ridiculous. That kind of strength. Yizayu sized it up and realized that, honestly, he might be able to match it. After all, one punch from him could probably demolish a house too. The tyrant zombie locked onto the group, recognizing them as the ones who had slaughtered its kin. With a furious roar, it charged straight at them. But Yizayu remained unfazed. Veneno. He called out. Buzz. Clank, clank, clank. Veneno, responding to the order, quickly scaled a taller factory building in the back, moving like a cunning predator. Then, under Yizayu's command, its massive mechanical head, equipped with an advanced tech mask, underwent a rapid transformation. It morphed into a colossal cannon mouth. And then, BZZT. Boom. A single devastating blast rippled through the air. The energy beam struck the tyrant zombie directly in the chest. In an instant, its entire torso was blown open, leaving a gaping hole. The creature let out an agonized screech and collapsed, unable to move. Silence. The entire battlefield fell into a stunned hush. Many of the lackeys who had been preparing to flee stopped dead in their tracks, inhaling sharply as they stared at Veneno, their minds blown. Liu Ying's eyes nearly popped out of his skull. Hiss. One shot. That was a tyrant zombie, and it went down in one shot? How much freaking power did that thing have? Just 2 days ago, during a battle in the northern suburbs, even tanks had failed to pierce a tyrant zombie's defenses. Yet now, this mechanical beast had taken one out in a single hit? Yizayu claimed he just modified these vehicles. But was he sure they weren't aliens? Even Yizayu was momentarily dumbfounded. Wait. Does this thing not have a damage limit? I mean, sure, it insta-killed small zombies before, but now it one-shotted a tyrant zombie. The king of zombies. And that was Veneno holding back. If it had gone all out, the tyrant zombie would have been completely vaporized. It was only left intact so Yizayu could claim the kill for experience points. Creator, finish it off. Veneno reminded him. Yizayu immediately rushed forward. The tyrant zombie, on its last breath, let out a weak snarl. It never expected that after dominating the zombie world, it would meet its end the moment it showed up. It tried to raise an arm to attack, but it was too weak to even lift its hand. Yizayu didn't hesitate. He pulled Blood Butterfly's wrath from his space ring and drove it straight into the creature's head. Squelch. With a final spasm, the tyrant zombie stopped moving. Just like that, its path to dominance ended before it even began. At that moment, a system notification chimed in Yizayu's mind. Ding. Congratulations, host. You have killed a tyrant zombie, +1, gaining +50 attribute points. Yizayu's eyes lit up. 50 attribute points? Damn, bosses really did give out a ton of rewards. But that wasn't the most surprising part. The real shock came when loot suddenly appeared in front of him, as if an RPG boss had just exploded into drops. Yizayu blinked in disbelief. What the hell? For a moment, he thought he was playing a dungeon raid instead of surviving the apocalypse. As he walked closer, he saw the loot, a recovery serum, a purification serum, and a purple tier space ring. And most importantly, a golden weapon. Another weapon drop? Yizayu's heart pounded as he hurried over to pick it up. The item's details appeared before his eyes. Item name, Snowden's Crescent Blade, rarity, gold, +150 stamina, +150 strength, +150 agility, +150 defense, bonus ability, gain +1 to all attributes per zombie kill, special effect, inflicts soul wounding damage, driving those struck by the blade into madness, owner, Yizayu, can be gifted for use, hiss. This is even better than Blood Butterfly's Wrath. Yizayu gasped as he read the stats. Not only did it boost all attributes by 150, but it also granted permanent stat increases for every zombie killed. That meant he'd never have to manually allocate points again. Plus, it had a soul wounding effect that could drive enemies insane. Although, what's the point of making them go crazy? Wouldn't it be better to just kill them outright? Ah, whatever. Yizayu wasn't about to turn down a great weapon, so he stored it in his space ring without hesitation. Meanwhile, the rest of the group was still in a state of complete shock. The tyrant zombie was dead. Onmyaksu was speechless, completely oblivious to Yizayu's loot collection. She wasn't even paying attention to what he was doing. Her mind was stuck on one thought, that was a tyrant zombie. A king among zombies. If one of these got into the Zhang family estate, it could wipe out everything. Yet now, that sneaky bastard Veneno had just one-shotted it. What the hell were these things? Were they really modified robots, or were they aliens in disguise? The firepower was just too terrifying. Hey! What are you all standing around for? Yizayu had already finished looting and turned back to see everyone still frozen in place. Hurry up and check if there's any military gear inside. Oh. Right. Snapping out of their daze, Liu Ying and the others remembered why they came. They were here to get weapons to fight the Zhang family. Without hesitation, they rushed into the armory and kicked the doors open. Inside, rows upon rows of guns, ammo, and heavy weaponry filled the space. Not just regular pistols, but automatic rifles, massive Gatling guns, and even 4 anti-tank sniper rifles. Ammo everywhere. Seeing this, everyone lost their minds with excitement. Holy shit, so many weapons. We hit the jackpot. Liu Ying grabbed a heavy anti-tank rifle, laughing wildly. Ha ha ha. This is perfect? With these, even if the Zhang family comes for us, we've got nothing to fear now. Chapter 34, Onmyaksu, from now on, he's your boss. What determines the outcome of modern warfare? Of course, it's all about who has the superior firepower. Well, even though this was now the apocalypse, even just a handgun with 10 bullets was enough to dominate an entire neighborhood. Not to mention, they had so many automatic assault rifles here. Yizayu took a quick glance around. A total of 72 automatic assault rifles, 72 handguns, 4 sets of anti-tank grenade launchers, 4 sets of anti-armor equipment, plus 4 sniper rifles, 2 crates of grenades, 10 crates of ammunition, and, tucked in a corner, 2 oversized Gatling guns. Honestly, with this arsenal, they could easily establish a formidable apocalypse faction in Hueco City. If only. Looking around, Liu Ying was excited but couldn't find any armored vehicles or tanks. That left him feeling a bit disappointed. If we had armored vehicles or tanks, we'd stand a real chance against the Zhang family. Enough. But Onmyaksu was already quite satisfied. Damn, with just this much firepower, she wasn't afraid of the Zhang family at all. So, she waved her hand decisively, load everything onto the vehicles first. We'll bring it all back and figure things out later. Got it. Hearing this, a dozen of their men excitedly began transporting the weapons. They carried them box by box onto the vehicles. One of them even found a military transport truck, making it much easier to load everything up. Of course, Onmyaksu didn't forget about Yizayu. She turned to him with enthusiasm. Yizayu, do you want to take some for yourself? No need. Yizayu snapped back to reality and shook his head with a smile. I won't need them. That's true. Hearing that, Onmyaksu immediately thought about the massive mechanical beasts Yizayu had just used. Especially that Lamborghini Veneno. Damn, it took out the tyrant zombie with a single blast. With firepower like that, who needed ordinary weapons? Yizayu did feel a tiny bit disappointed, though. This might have been a military armory, but it didn't have any large-scale military equipment like missile trucks, tanks, armored vehicles, or fighter jets. Otherwise, he could have added another transformer to his arsenal. Oh well. Unmyaksu had mentioned that the Zhang family owned armed helicopters. Those would work just fine. Once everything was loaded, they didn't waste any more time. One by one, the vehicles, now fully stocked with weapons, began heading back to the shelter. Unmyaksu's shelter was an underground bunker. There weren't many people left there, only about 20 or so. Most of them were women and children. Only 3 or 4 people had guns, and their faces were filled with tension and anxiety. They were supposed to be out looking for a leader. Yet, the dozen or so men they sent out had been gone for almost an entire day. If they don't come back soon, the Zhang family will probably send people again. They weren't too worried about themselves. They were more concerned about the women. If the Zhang family took them away, a shiver ran down their spines. They didn't even want to imagine what those bastards would do. In the apocalypse, women were nothing more than tools for men to vent their desires. Open the door. We're back. Just as they were growing more anxious, Liu Ying's familiar voice rang from outside. Everyone's eyes lit up. They rushed to open the door and, upon seeing Liu Ying, immediately asked, "How did it go? Did you find a leader? Is the boss back?" "Of course." Liu Ying stepped aside, revealing Unmyaksu in her black outfit. Seeing their boss safe and sound, everyone's faces filled with relief, and they finally let out a breath. But soon, their expressions darkened again. "Boss, do you know what's happening with the Zhang family?" "Yeah. They said if we don't surrender to them by this afternoon, they'll send people to blow this place up." "What are we supposed to do?" Panic filled their eyes. There were only 30 or 40 of them. How could they possibly stand against the Zhang family? But now that Unmyaksu had all these weapons, her confidence skyrocketed. She smirked and said, "Don't panic. Here, take a look at this." She signaled for Liu Ying and the others to bring everything inside. One by one, crates of the grenades, ammunition, and large Gatling guns were carried in. A clatter of weapons spilled onto the ground. Everyone was stunned. "Holy shit, boss, where did all this firepower come from?" Unmyaksu grinned. "We picked it up today." "How's that? How's that? This is fucking amazing." Their biggest fear wasn't that they were outnumbered. It was that they didn't have weapons. Now that they did, excitement surged through them. But soon, they calmed down. They understood what Unmyaksu meant. "Boss, are you saying we're going to go head-to-head with the Zhang family?" Unmyaksu didn't bother with unnecessary words. "I'm not forcing any of you. If you're afraid, you can leave now. I'll even help you find a safe place to go. But as for me, I will never submit to the Zhang family." Her words struck deep. Any hesitation that remained in their hearts vanished instantly. "Boss, we're not afraid of death." "Yeah. We were only worried because we didn't have weapons before. But now, we've got them. What's there to be afraid of? Let's fucking fight them." "Yeah, let's fight." Their fighting spirit ignited. "Good." Seeing their determination, Unmyaksu finally smiled. Her gaze grew resolute. "Then today, we will fight them head-on." She turned to Yizayu. "Yizayu, you're going to help me, right?" 1 second, Unmyaksu was exuding dominance. The next, her voice softened into a sweet, delicate tone as she gazed at Yizayu with a pitiful expression. Holy shit. The sudden change caught everyone off guard. What the hell? Is this still the fierce and ruthless boss we know? Why does she suddenly sound so sweet? But Unmyaksu didn't care about their reactions. She had seen Yizayu's strength firsthand. If she hadn't, she might have asked him to leave, not wanting to drag him into their mess. But now... Damn, his Lamborghini Veneno had one-shot a tyrant zombie with a single blast. If those mechanical beasts were here, why would they even need to fear the Zhang family? That's why she had to get Yizayu to help. Of course, Yizayu was a bit stunned by this woman's sudden shift in demeanor. But after regaining his composure, he simply waved his hand and said, "You don't even have to ask. I was going to help you anyway. Come on." He still needed to get his hands on that armed helicopter. Haha. As expected, the moment Unmyaksu heard that, her smile grew even more enchanting. Her beautiful eyes curved into crescent moons as she giggled in delight, displaying the charm of a love-struck young girl. As expected of the man I like. Cough, cough. She cleared her throat, then suddenly took a deep breath before announcing to the entire group, "From now on, stop calling me boss. Call him boss. Everything of mine belongs to him. Including all of you." What the hell? The moment those words left her mouth, everyone was dumbfounded. Wait. What? We belong to him now? Boss, did you just marry him or something? Why are we his now? Some of the guys who hadn't caught on were completely dumbfounded. Was this really the same cold, dominant leader they followed? Why did she suddenly turn into a fangirl? That's right. And if that wasn't shocking enough, Onmyaku confidently doubled down. He is my man, so from now on, he's your boss too. No problem with that. Even Yizayu was stunned. Wait a minute. I just stepped out for a bit and now I'm the boss? But when he saw the seriousness in Onmyaku's beautiful eyes, he knew she wasn't joking. Still, he waved his hand dismissively. I'll help you, but you don't need to throw in so much dowry. I only have one condition. No problem. Say it. To Onmyaku, she already considered herself his. What condition could possibly be an issue? Yeah, that's right. Boss Yi, just name it. Liu Ying and the others were all eager for Yizayu to take charge. Damn, with those mechanical life forms of his. Forget about the Zhang family. They could dominate all of Hueihai City with ease. Alright then. Seeing that no one had any objections, Yizayu nodded and said, when we take them down, I want their armed helicopter. Make sure you don't blow it up. After all, having an air force was key. In the movies, a single Decepticon like Blackout could wipe out an entire high-tech military base with ease. Damn, if he could activate his own aerial unit, he'd be unstoppable in Hueihai City. As for this little squad, honestly, they were nice to have, but not a necessity. No problem. Onmyaku agreed instantly. An armed helicopter? That was nothing. She already considered herself his, so what was a helicopter in comparison? Chapter 35, The Zhang Family Attacks. Isn't that fucking Yizayu? With the new weapons and gear in hand, everyone quickly got familiar with them and made their preparations. Of course, Yizayu didn't forget to call over Lin Yuxi and Li Xian. After Ironhide brought the two women over, Li Xian immediately ran to Yizayu, her voice full of excitement. Master, are you okay? Yesterday, when the recon bird reported that Yizayu had been taken, she had felt like the sky was falling. She had been utterly frantic. However, Ironhide and the others refused to let them go out, believing that taking the two women along would only be more of a hassle. This had driven them crazy with worry. As a result, Li Xian had spent the entire day grinding levels like mad, boosting her agility stat all the way up to 580. What did that mean? It was equivalent to 58 times that of an average person. But that wasn't all. Two mechanical dogs had also followed them over. Boom. As they stepped down from the transport, two massive mechanical dogs, each 2 meters long, scanned their surroundings with their glowing red monocular eyes, radiating an imposing aura. The members of Blazing Rose, who had been setting up defenses, were all scared shitless. Damn, it felt like being locked onto by a sniper rifle. Like they could be taken out at any second. But then they saw the two women's appearances and couldn't help but be stunned. Holy shit, top-tier beauties. Yizayu, however, didn't care about the others' reactions. He simply reached out to pat the mechanical dog that had rushed up to curry favor with him before turning to the two women. Relax, I'm fine. There's no one in this world who can kill me yet. The way he said it left the two speechless. But they knew it was the truth. Leaving aside the monstrous beings at his side. Just Yizayu himself. The stronger Li Xian became, the more terrifying she realized her master was. Why does it feel like, no matter how much I level up, he's always ahead of me? Of course, if she knew that every time she leveled up, she was actually leveling up Yizayu instead, she'd probably lose her mind. But this was Yizayu's biggest secret, so he wouldn't tell anyone. On the contrary, he planned to distribute more weapons to suitable people, ensuring that he could keep leveling up. Perfect timing. He turned to introduce Onmyaku. Li Xian, Lin Yuxi, these are my companions. This is Onmyaku, a childhood friend of mine. You. Hello. Seeing two such stunning women, Onmyaku was momentarily dazzled, but she still stepped forward politely to shake hands with them. However, Li Xian and Lin Yuxi were slightly thrown off by Yizayu's words. A childhood friend? More like a girlfriend, right? They couldn't see Onmyaku's full face, but that didn't stop them from being enthusiastic. A friend of Master's is a friend of ours. Master. Onmyaku's expression turned weird. What the hell? People still call others Master these days? Are you sure they're not just his maids? Enough. People are coming. Fortunately, at that moment, a distant rumbling interrupted them, and Yizayu spoke up. Everyone who had been working, stacking defenses and finding good positions, heard the noise and immediately tensed, gripping their weapons tightly. Even the two mechanical dogs raised their crimson mechanical eyes, staring toward the street corner. On the opposite side of the road, a massive tank rolled forward. Behind it were 2 armored vehicles. And a convoy of fully armed off-road vehicles and other cars. More than a dozen in total. A large number of people climbed out, immediately using their vehicles as cover. Seeing this, Onmyaksu's heart clenched. At least 100 people. She immediately raised her hand. Everyone, prepare for battle. However, Yizayu remained calm. Instead, he told Lin Yuxi to go inside. She didn't have any special abilities, after all. You go in first. We'll handle this. Okay. Lin Yuxi knew she would just be a burden if she stayed, so under the protection of a mechanical dog, she hurried into the underground shelter. The others, upon seeing the enemy's sheer numbers, also grew more tense. However, their hands gripping their guns didn't tremble. Instead, their resolve only hardened. Boom. Clank. The tank at the front finally came to a stop. A man climbed out, glancing at the 20-odd people across from him, all aiming guns in his direction. Standing atop the tank, a young man in his early 20s. Zhang Rue laughed. Well. Looks like you guys are planning to fight to the death, huh? He hadn't expected such a tiny new shelter to have the guts to resist the Zhang family. Hiding behind cover, Liu Yang recognized the man and called out, Zhang Rue, we're not joining your side. If you know what's good for you, get lost now. Otherwise, don't blame us for being ruthless. Ruthless? Ha ha ha. At his words, the enemies all burst into laughter. A minion beside Zhang Rue sneered, Liu Yang, you ever seen what a tank cannon can do? You guys wouldn't even survive 2 shots. Why the hell are you so eager to die? And besides... Huh? Minion Shenhai's eyes suddenly landed on Onmyaksu and Lysia and at the front, and he was instantly intrigued. Even though Onmyaksu's face was hidden, that tight black outfit clinging to her god-tier figure was enough to tell him she was a beauty. And Lysia? That gorgeous face, that insane beauty. Damn. Wait a second. Why does she look familiar? Shenhai frowned. Something felt off. Especially with that mechanical dog wagging its tail and staring at them with its crimson eyes. Something was wrong. He leaned toward Zhang Rue and whispered, Young Master Rue, something's not right. Not right? Zhang Rue didn't think so at all. His eyes were already locked onto the woman in the white, tight-fitting sportswear. Well, isn't this Miss Li? Zhang Rue. Lysia and narrowed her eyes, recognizing him immediately. Onmyaksu noticed and asked, You know him? Yeah. Lysia and nodded and explained, he's the son of the Zhang family's second uncle. In Hueco City, the rich and powerful families all knew each other. So of course, Lysia and knew him. She stepped forward with a smile. Well, since we know each other, let's make this easy. Give me some face and back off from Blazing Rose, alright? Face? Zhang Rue chuckled mockingly. You think you still have face, Lysia? This isn't the world before the apocalypse. No one gives a damn about the Li family anymore. Let me tell you. Things have changed. Now, the Zhang family calls the shots. And besides. His eyes gleamed with greed as he looked her up and down. TSK, no wonder Brother Z was after you. You're a real prize. Perfect face, perfect body. Word is, you ran off with some guy a few days ago. What, this pretty boy next to you? Zhang Rue glanced at Yizayu and touched his own face. Fuck, okay, fine, he is a little better looking than me. But so what? Looks don't mean shit in the apocalypse. I'll kill you first, then take Lysia and with me. Hey, I'd love to see how the great Miss Li serves me instead. And maybe my boys can have a turn after. Holy shit. That last part sent the Zhang family's goons into a frenzy. Women like this were rare in the apocalypse. If they could all take turns. Damn. Only Shenhai was still scratching his head. Something was really fucking off. Then he saw Lysia and's cold smirk. And Yizayu's eerily calm expression. And suddenly, terror flooded his mind. A chilling memory of that monstrous mechanical giant from days ago surfaced. Fuck. Why the hell is that guy here? Chapter 36, All-Out Battle. The Terror of Veneno. That's right. Shenhai was the only one who had survived alongside Zhang Zi back then. He had personally witnessed his comrades vanish into thin air at a single command from that man. Thinking about it now, Shenhai's gaze toward Yizayu instantly changed. This guy had been a ruthless killer, not even blinking as he took lives. And sure enough, as if fulfilling his worst fears, Yizayu raised his hand. But this time, he added a few words. You have one chance. Surrender, or die. Oh? Zhang Rue still had no idea how serious this situation was. Instead, he laughed even harder with his men. Ha ha ha, is this kid dreaming? He must be scared shitless. We have armored vehicles, tanks, And even an armed helicopter in the back. And he's telling us we're going to die? What the hell can a handful of people do? But only Chen Hai knew this wasn't a joke. He urgently tugged at Zhang Rue. Young Master Rue, we need to retreat. This guy. He's the one who nearly killed me and young Master Z. Oh? Zhang Rue's eyes lit up. So, this is the one with the special equipment? Perfect. Kill him. Open fire. The moment Zhang Rue gave the order. Boom. The deafening roar of a cannon shook the battlefield. But before anyone could react. Boom. A massive energy blast tore through an entire building. Crack. Crumble. Chunks of debris rained down, crushing the unlucky men taking cover below. Screams of agony filled the air. Zhang Rue's pupils contracted violently. What the hell? Who fired? Who the fuck fired? Damn it, did someone miss their shot? The enemy is on the other side. But one of his men stammered in panic. And no, boss. That wasn't us. What? If it wasn't us, then... Could there be military forces still left in Hueco, here to rescue these survivors? Zhang Rue remembered that a small military unit was still stationed in the city. But before he could think further... Roar! A deep, mechanical growl echoed from the distant street. Then, before their eyes... A sleek, black Lamborghini Veneno roared onto the battlefield. And the moment it arrived... Clank! 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 With the grinding of massive gears, the car transformed into a towering, 7-meter-tall mechanical behemoth. Holy shit! What is that? Some of Zhang Rue's men were so shocked they nearly dropped their guns, eyes wide in disbelief. Others snapped out of it and immediately shouted. Open fire! Kill it! Kill it now! Tat 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 tat! A hailstorm of bullets rained down on Veneno. But Veneno's defense was at an insane 6,000 points. Even a missile wouldn't phase it, let alone regular bullets. The rounds sparked off its armor like harmless fireworks. Veneno didn't even flinch as it continued forward. Then... Boom. Another shot fired. A dozen men hiding behind cover were blasted into the air, their screams cut short. Arg. Agonized cries filled the battlefield. But that was just the beginning. Veneno coolly turned and... Boom. Another shot fired. This time, an entire building nearly collapsed from the impact. Over 20 more men were vaporized instantly. What the fuck is that thing? Are we being invaded by aliens? Zhang Rue's face went deathly pale. They had over 100 men on their side. But in the first moments of battle, they had already lost 30? Tat tat tat. The armored vehicles retaliated, their heavy machine guns unleashing a barrage of fire at Veneno. Tat tat tat. Tat tat tat. But once again, the bullets had zero effect. Only sending larger sparks flying. The members of Blazing Rose, who had been bracing for a desperate fight, stood there completely dumbfounded. They even forgot to shoot. They just stared as Veneno wiped the battlefield clean. Holy shit, this guy is that strong? Liu Ying was in shock. Back when they first saw these cars, they thought they were just oversized machines modified to crush zombies with brute force. Then they saw Veneno blast apart a zombie with a cannon, and thought, oh, maybe that's a special attack or something. But now... Fuck that. Veneno was calmly walking through a hail of bullets while continuously blasting everything to hell. This firepower is more insane than a damn fighter jet. Even Yi Xiaoyu paused for a second. Damn. Veneno is really that strong? But he quickly regained his composure. Yeah. This is what a transformer should be like. Liu Ying and the others finally snapped out of their daze, adrenaline kicking in. Brothers, shoot. Open fire. Yeah. Charge. With renewed courage from witnessing Veneno's rampage, the Blazing Rose fighters unloaded on Zhang Rue's men. The Zhang family's forces, already suppressed by Veneno, were now being completely overwhelmed. Zhang Rue ducked back into the tank, his face twisted in fury. Smack. He slapped one of his men across the head. You fucking idiots. Fire the damn cannon. Kill that thing. He didn't believe it. Sure, it could shrug off bullets. But could it survive a direct hit from a tank shell? Why yes, sir. The tank gunner aimed at Veneno. Boom. The shell struck Veneno's shoulder dead on. A massive explosion engulfed the mech. For a moment, everyone thought it was over. But as the smoke cleared, Veneno calmly patted the dust off itself. Not a single part had fallen off. Its crimson mechanical eyes turned toward Zhang Rue. Zhang Rue's face drained of color. One thought filled his mind. Cannon. I need a bigger cannon. Our retreat. Retreat. But it was too late. Behind him, another massive mech, Venom, had arrived. And it was blowing everything apart from the rear. Liu Ying led the Blazing Rose forces, pressing forward with their assault rifles. In just minutes, Venom reached the front lines, drawing its massive sword from its tail fin. With a single swing, it sliced an entire building in half. The Zhang family's men, caught in the shockwave, barely dodged decapitation. Venom lowered its hulking mechanical body and spoke in a deep, menacing robotic voice. "Drop your weapons. Now. Fuck. Fuck fuck fuck." Faced with this unstoppable monster, the terrified soldiers immediately threw their guns down and raised their hands. "Don't kill us. We surrender. Let's talk this out." Boom. Venom angrily sliced through a nearby streetlight. Fuck. They actually surrendered? Liu Ying and the Blazing Rose survivors pushed forward. The Zhang family's men had completely lost their will to fight. One by one, they were captured. "Drop your weapons. Hands on your heads. Move it. I see you hiding, dumbass. Get out here." In no time, over 30 men were kneeling on the road, trembling in fear. Even some of the Blazing Rose fighters blinked in confusion. "Wait. It's over already?" Chapter 37, Zhang Ruet. "Just a step no problem." "Wait. What the hell? That was way too fast. I didn't even get a chance to fire my gun yet. But there was nothing I could do." Venom and Veneno were just too terrifying. As Cybertronian warriors, their specialty was interstellar warfare. Fighting on Earth was nothing more than a casual skirmish for them, the military. They didn't even take them seriously. Let alone a bunch of apocalypse survivors with just a tank and a couple of armored vehicles. So, in less than a minute, the entire battlefield was under control. More than 40 survivors knelt on the ground with their hands over their heads, surrendering. The Blazing Rose members were beyond excited. Damn, they only had about 20 people. Yet they had just wiped out over 100 from the Zhang family estate. And they even took down 2 armored vehicles and a tank? This was fucking exhilarating. Of course, they knew all of this was thanks to Yizayu. If it weren't for Venom and Veneno, they would have been blasted to pieces long ago. Forget controlling the battlefield in a minute. They wouldn't have survived at all. Liu Yang, unable to contain his excitement, quickly ran up to Yizayu and asked, "Boss Yi, how should we deal with these guys?" How to deal with them? Yizayu wasn't interested in them at all. His goal from the start had been military equipment. The tank, the armed helicopter. But when he glanced at the pale, kneeling survivors, he waved his hand dismissively. "I already told them. They only had one chance to surrender. Otherwise, the only outcome is death. Now, kill them all." "What? Holy shit." The moment those words left Yizayu's mouth, the survivors from Zhang family estate nearly pissed themselves. "Wait, he's really going to kill us?" Even in Miyaksu, Liu Yang, and the others were caught off guard. What the fuck? Is the apocalypse really this ruthless? Liu Yang hesitated, cautiously testing the waters. Are we really killing all of them? There were over 40 people here. If they recruited them into Blazing Rose, it would definitely strengthen their faction. The ones who deserve to die are the core members of the Zhang family estate, like Zhang Rue. They're the real masterminds, Miyaksu chimed in. Then, she suddenly smiled at Yizayu. But of course, I'll follow your lead. Whatever you decide, I'll support you. She had no objections to Yizayu's decisions. As for Li Xian, who was just standing by and watching, she cared even less about these people's lives. If Yizayu wanted, she'd even lend a hand. Please, don't kill us. Hearing the conversation, the survivors were scared out of their minds, immediately kneeling and kowtowing desperately. We didn't want to work for the Zhang family either, but our families. They were in that bastard's hands. If we didn't obey, they would have been killed. A middle-aged man slammed his forehead against the ground repeatedly. He hated the Zhang family the most, but he had no choice. For the sake of his loved ones, he had to comply. A parent's love knows no bounds. Yeah. A younger man gritted his teeth, sobbing. My parents are dead. I only have a younger sister. If I die too, she'll be done for. If you're going to kill me, at least let me go back and kill my sister first. I don't want her to be tortured by the Zhang family scum after I'm gone. He knew exactly what would happen. If he died, his sister would become their plaything. What, are you questioning my orders? Yizayu's gaze landed on Liu Yang, who was about to plead for them. Ah. Of course not. Liu Yang knew that without Yizayu, they'd all be dead. Since Boss Yi had decided to kill them, then so be it. Just as Liu Yang was about to give the order, Yizayu suddenly smiled. I've changed my mind. Huh? Hearing that, everyone's eyes lit up with hope. Yizayu continued, if you're willing to follow Blazing Rose and take down Zhang family estate, then I might consider sparing you. What? An assault on a Zhang family estate? The survivors instantly perked up. Without hesitation. I'll do it. The middle-aged man was the first to raise his hand. Me too. The young man quickly followed. He had never wanted to serve the Zhang family. They were brutal, ruthless. If it weren't for their blackmail, he would have turned against them long ago. Now that he had the chance, of course he'd take it. One by one, the others pledged their allegiance. Some hesitated. But before they could make up their minds, bang, bang, bang. Yi Xiu pulled the trigger without hesitation, instantly executing 7 or 8 of them. The remaining hesitant ones were scared shitless and quickly agreed. But it was already too late. Bang, bang, bang. Yi Xiu executed them all. After holstering his gun, he tossed it to Anmyaksu. Took care of some of Zhang family estate's core members for you. No need to thank me. The crowd froze. Then, realization dawned on them. Holy shit, boss, that was genius. Liu Yang gave Yi Xiu a thumbs up, admiration written all over his face. Yi Xiu never intended to kill everyone. He just wanted to see where their loyalties lay. The ones who switched sides eagerly. They were likely coerced. The ones who hesitated. Those were the true loyalists of the Zhang family, only surrendering out of fear. With just this simple test, Yi Xiu had weeded out the real threats. Liu Yang couldn't help but respect this new boss of his. Even Anmyaksu looked at Yi Xiu differently, her eyes shining with admiration. When the preparations for the attack on the Zhang family estate were underway, Anmyaksu approached Yi Xiu and couldn't help but sigh. Yi Xiu, you really are the man I admire. You're so smart. Looks like handing Blazing Rose over to you was the right choice. You were born to be a leader. But to her surprise, Yi Xiu glanced at her and corrected, hold on. I'm not the boss. These are your people. Huh? What? Anmyaksu was stunned. He doesn't want to be the leader? Of course not. Yi Xiu had no interest in running things. Come on, he had all the resources he needed. Why waste time managing a group? By helping Anmyaksu secure her position as the leader of Hueco City, he could just sit back and enjoy the benefits. That was the real power move. Anmyaksu saw right through him and was speechless. Seriously? You're still this lazy? But right now, there was something more important. Yi Xiu turned his gaze to Zhang Rui, who was still kneeling on the side, and grinned. What Zhang Rui could only describe as a devilish smile. Oh right, I almost forgot about you. Ah. Boss. Boss. Zhang Rui was so terrified he nearly wet himself, kowtowing furiously. I was wrong, boss. I'll never do it again. Please don't kill me. Oh? But I remember you acting pretty arrogant just now. And no, boss, you must have misremembered. No wait, I was wrong. You're the coolest. Cooler than even the readers. I swear. I'll do anything. Just don't kill me. Yi Xiu raised a brow. Anything? Yes. Anything. Seeing hope, Zhang Rui nodded frantically. Alright then. Yi Xiu smirked. Go kill all the core members of the Zhang family. Huh? Even my mom? Yi Xiu. Seeing Yi Xiu's confused expression, Zhang Rui gritted his teeth, spat on the ground, and said, PFFT. Just a stepmom. No problem. Chapter 38, What a stunning stepmom. So he had a stepmother. An absolute beauty, taken by his old man. If it weren't for that awkward relationship, he would have claimed her for himself long ago. Besides, that old bastard. Huh, the apocalypse had arrived, so why was he still alive? Hearing Yi Xiu's words now, the thought of that stunning stepmother made him instinctively blurt out. But Yi Xiu had already noticed and became interested. A beautiful stepmother? Interesting. Maybe another milk cow was about to join his herd. As night fell, darkness blanketed the city. Zombies began to stir. Since Blazing Rose was located in the northern third ring, there weren't too many zombies in the area. Even if there were, they would have likely been vaporized by Venom's firepower before getting close, leaving the surroundings eerily quiet. But nighttime was different. The zombies became more active. Hardly any survivors dared to wander outside after dark. At the Zhang family estate, the lights were still blazing. Tall fortifications had been erected around the estate, along with a dozen interconnected bunkers. These could both attack zombies and defend against them, making the estate a tightly secured miniature military base. There were even 2 watchtowers within the estate, used for monitoring distant threats. Boom. 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 3 deep rumbles shook the air. One after another, supercars sped toward the estate. Military trucks followed behind them, including 2 armored vehicles and even a tank. Seeing this grand convoy of survivors, the guards in the watchtower initially thought Zhang Rui had returned. Excitedly, one of them shouted, "Young Master Rui is back. He's back." This news instantly caught everyone's attention, reinvigorating those who had grown weary. However, the guards stationed at the entrance remained cautious. Blocking the eye-catching Lamborghini Veneno, One of them shouted, "Tonight's passcode? Pass your mother's code." From the passenger seat, Zhang Rui stuck his head out and cursed angrily. Ah, it really is young Master Rui. Upon recognizing him, the guards quickly withdrew their weapons, and one of them obsequiously waved his hand. "Hurry, open the gates." But just as the gates opened, the moment the Lamborghini Veneno and Lightning entered, a group of survivors rushed forward with guns, ready to detain the captured hostages. Suddenly, a chilling clank echoed as mechanical gears ground together. Before their horrified eyes, the two sleek supercars rapidly transformed at an incredible speed. Many survivors stumbled backward in shock, instinctively opening fire. What the fuck is this? Shoot! Shoot! Rat-a-tat. A hail of bullets rained down on Venom and Lightning. Yet, instead of dodging, the two mechanical giants completed their transformation and immediately raised their laser cannons. Boom! Boom! Two massive energy blasts sent dozens of people flying, their agonized screams piercing the night. Venom then turned its cannons toward the watchtowers. Boom! Boom! The towers exploded into splinters. What's happening? Is it a tyrant zombie attack? Some survivors, unable to see clearly, assumed the massive figures were mutated zombies and charged forward. But upon getting a closer look at the military green lightning and the terrifying black and gray transformer beside it, they froze. Holy shit, what is that? Too late. Wipe them out. Venom's deep, mechanical voice rumbled as it fired another round. Lightning didn't hold back either, unleashing a barrage of devastation. In mere moments, the estate was engulfed in flames. Simultaneously, the Blazing Rose crew stormed in, guns blazing. They quickly took down several key members of the Zhang family. At the forefront, Liu Yang stood before Lightning and bellowed, "Drop your weapons and raise your hands, or we'll wipe you all out." The Zhang family survivors were utterly terrified. Glancing at each other and realizing the situation was hopeless, they quickly threw down their weapons, knelt, and raised their hands in surrender. Blazing Rose members swiftly confiscated their weapons and bound them all. Venom grabbed the trembling Zhang Rui by the collar and chuckled. "Hey, kid, what are you so scared of? With the creator here, this is your time to shine." "Oh, right." Zhang Rui, who had been paralyzed with fear, suddenly snapped out of it. His eyes lit up. This was his chance to take over the Zhang family. His confidence surged, and excitement spread across his face. Inside the estate, the commotion drew out Zhang Tan, surrounded by his loyal followers. As the Zhang family's second-in-command, he was Zhang Zi's uncle and Zhang Tanyang's younger brother. Beside him was a woman in a sleek black dress. Barely in her early 20s, she had a face so breathtaking it seemed otherworldly. She clutched Zhang Tan's arm, her expression tense. Seeing the devastation outside, dozens of subdued Zhang family survivors and his own son looking thrilled, Zhang Tan exploded in rage. "Zhang Rui, have you lost your mind? What the hell are you doing?" "Hey, lost my mind?" Instead of being intimidated, Zhang Rui grinned and stepped forward. "Old man, isn't it obvious? I'm taking over the Zhang family and reclaiming what's rightfully mine." "What? Taking over the Zhang family? Reclaiming what's his? You're talking nonsense." Zhang Tan trembled with fury. "Without the Zhang family, you're nothing. You've gone mad." "Mad? Me?" Zhang Rui burst into laughter and pointed at Zhang Tan. "Old man, you're the fool here. Do you really think the Zhang family became this powerful on its own? Who do you think made this happen? You? Me? It was the two of us. If you hadn't secured the weapons and if I hadn't fought day and night to recruit these people, would Zhang Zi and the others even matter? You. Zhang Tan was so furious he could barely speak. He had never imagined his own son would betray the family. And now, he was trying to overthrow them. You? Take over the Zhang family? Do you even know your own limits? Of course. Zhang Rui chuckled, knowing his own strength wasn't enough. That's why I have a new boss now. With that, he stepped aside, revealing Yi Xiaoyu. What? Seeing Yi Xiaoyu, along with the two mechanical giants, Zhang Tan instantly understood everything. His expression darkened as he spat. "You little bastard. You actually colluded with outsiders to betray our family?" But judging from the current situation, the opposing force was just as strong, if not stronger, than the Zhang family. Suppressing his rage, Zhang Tan cupped his fists toward Yi Xiaoyu. "Brother, may I ask what grievance exists between you and the Zhang family that warrants such a grand assault?" Chapter 39, The First Aerial Decepticon. The Emerging Cybertronian Army. Grievance? That word alone pissed Liu Yang and the others off. Holding an axe, he stepped forward and cursed, "Old man, did you already forget how your son attacked Blazing Rose today?" "Oh? Blazing Rose?" Hearing this, Zhang Tan immediately understood. He hadn't expected Blazing Rose to be this powerful. But he still clasped his hands together and said, I believe there's been a misunderstanding. Brothers, let's not be hasty. The world outside is crawling with zombies. We survivors should be working together if we want to make it through this. If there was a mistake on our part, I, Zhang Tan, sincerely apologize on behalf of the Zhang family estate. Apologize? Liu Ying and the others couldn't help but burst into laughter. What a joke. If it weren't for Boss Yi, they would all be dead right now. You think a simple apology settles this? Exactly. One of the Blazing Rose men shouted. You're only saying this because you know you're weaker than us. If the tables were turned, would you still be so polite? Zhang Dan hesitated. Of course, he wouldn't have been. But he still smiled and said, Brothers, if you need anything, just say the word. We have plenty of supplies. Water, bread, instant noodles, even seafood and ham. We can share some as compensation. Supplies? To him, the estate had plenty of resources. If he could use them to get rid of these people now and take the place back later, it'd be a good deal. But to his surprise, Yi Ziyu suddenly spoke up. Actually, if we kill you, those supplies will be ours anyway. What? Zhang Tan's face darkened instantly. So there's no room for a negotiation? Don't think we're afraid of you. The Zhang family estate has more than just these people. Yi Ziyu didn't bother arguing. He simply glanced at Zhang Ru and said, Time to prove yourself. Hey, got it. Zhang Rui grinned, raised his pistol, and fired several shots at Zhang Tan. His own father collapsed among the bodies. The stunning stepmother let out a terrified scream. Gunfire erupted as Liu Ying and his men stormed forward. A fierce battle broke out once again. The guards in the bunkers wanted to provide support, but they could only watch helplessly. Why? Because the bunkers were built to fire forward. They weren't designed to cover the rear. And with venom and lightning wreaking havoc, the fight ended in mere minutes. Who would dare stick their head out? Soon enough, the last survivor who refused to surrender was dead. The only ones left were the Blazing Rose crew, the 50 captives, and a terrified, trembling beauty hiding behind a pillar, wrapped in a tight black dress. She didn't even dare to look up, her voice quivering as she pleaded, Please don't kill me. Please. Yi Ziyu walked over, lifted her chin with the flat side of Blood Butterfly's wrath, and found himself staring into a delicate, stunning face. Her large, beautiful eyes were filled with fear, and her shapely figure trembled uncontrollably. Not bad. What's your name? Yi Ziyu asked. I'm Chu Menyao, she stammered. That name? It sounded more like a college girl's than a stepmother's. All right. Yi Ziyu patted her cheek lightly and said, From now on, you belong to me. What? Chu Menyao blinked, her seductive eyes filled with shock. She hadn't expected to be claimed so quickly. But since it meant survival, she hurriedly nodded, her voice filled with gratitude. Thank you. Thank you. I'll obey. Of course, this wasn't Yi Ziyu's main focus. After leaving Liu Ying and the others to clean up the aftermath, he followed Venom to an aircraft. It was a military green attack helicopter. An Apache. That was unexpected. The Apache had been in service for a long time, but it remained one of the most advanced attack helicopters in existence. Its combat capabilities were unquestionable. And now, they had one. Finally got one. Looking at the 10-meter-long beast, Yi Ziyu felt a sense of accomplishment. After all that effort, he finally secured his first aerial transformer. VRRMMM. Without hesitation, he injected energy into it. Clank. 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 With a deafening roar of grinding gears, the silent machine came to life. In an instant, it began its transformation. Within moments, a towering 15-meter mechanical giant stood before him. It retained the Apache's design but had two glowing crimson eyes that exuded a terrifying, powerful presence. On its arms were massive saw blades made from rotor blades, spinning like a giant meat grinder. Utterly insane. The moment it activated, the mechanical giant dropped to one knee before Yi Ziyu. A deep, robotic voice rumbled, Cybertronian Warrior number 5, at your service, my great creator. Yi Ziyu took the opportunity to check its stats. Name, Cybertronian Warrior number 5, Level 1, Unit Type, Air Force, Strength, 3000, Defense, 6000, Firepower, 10,000, Companions, Laser Bird, Mechanical Dog, Blade Bug. Description: a mechanical life form from the distant Cybertronian planet. Based on an Apache attack helicopter, it specializes in ground assault operations. A frontline warrior of the Decepticon faction, possessing immense destructive power, absolute loyalty, huh? A Decepticon? Yi Ziyu was surprised. Up until now, his Cybertronian warriors weren't explicitly labeled as Autobots or Decepticons. But this one was clearly marked as a Decepticon. Interesting. While Decepticons were traditionally considered villains, they were, in reality, the main fighting force of the Cybertronian rebellion. Most of them transformed from military vehicles, making them far superior in attack power compared to Autobots. And looking at this guy, he even came with 3 pet companions. That meant 3 more helpers. No wonder it's a Decepticon. Comes fully loaded. Yizayu was pleased. He wasn't worried about betrayal either. After all, his spark energy core was fused with him. If he died, the Transformers would cease to exist. After some thought, he gave the towering warrior a new name. From now on, your name is Soundwave. Yes, my great creator. Soundwave responded in an incredibly reverent mechanical voice. At that moment, Yizayu realized something. His Cybertronian army was growing. Venom, Ironhide, Lightning, Poison, and now Soundwave. And with Soundwave, he had his first Air Force unit. If it weren't so dark and deserted, any onlookers would have doubted their own sanity. But regardless, his Cybertronian army was now taking shape. Chapter 40, Blood and Crescent Blade. Boss. Boss. From a distance, Liu Yang hurried over with 2 men. Yizayu glanced back and gave Soundwave a look. The Transformer immediately reverted to its Apache helicopter form. This was a secret only his obedient, loyalty-enforced maids needed to know. Outsiders didn't need to understand how it all worked. By the time Soundwave had fully transformed back, Liu Yang arrived. Seeing the helicopter up close, he was visibly impressed. Damn, so this is an attack chopper? Looks badass. But man, refueling this thing must be a nightmare. How much does it guzzle? 98 octane? Liu Yang seemed puzzled but quickly remembered the main reason he had rushed over. His excitement returned as he reported, Boss, the entire Zhang family estate is under our control. We've taken down nearly all of their top brass. But. He hesitated. But what? Yizayu immediately noticed something was off. Looking somewhat guilty, Liu Yang admitted, when we stormed the underground shelter. Zhang Zi and Zhang Tanying got blown to bits by one of Lightning's cannons. They're dead? Yizayu was surprised, frowning slightly. He had wanted to torture those bastards first. But after a moment, his expression relaxed. Doesn't matter. Dead is dead. They would have died in his hands anyway. Dying early just saved them some suffering. Besides that, anything else of value? Yes. A lot. At the mention of loot, Liu Yang's face lit up. We found an enormous stockpile of supplies. The entire underground area is packed with goods. It's basically a massive shopping mall down there. Oh? Is that so? Yizayu's interest was piqued. Take me there. Yes, boss. Liu Yang quickly led the way. Upon entering the underground shelter, Yizayu immediately understood the meaning of luxury. The place was massive, spanning at least 1,000 square meters. Like an enormous penthouse. The living room alone covered over 200 square meters, and the custom-made sofas cost hundreds of thousands. Not to mention the antiques and vases scattered around. A pile of gold was stacked on the table. Yizayu estimated it weighed at least 100 to 200 kilograms. Clearly, the Zhang family had been hoarding valuables. Aside from the riches, there was an abundance of high-end cigarettes and liquor. But what caught Yizayu's attention the most were the maids. Many young women dressed in maid outfits stood trembling in fear. Pretty? Sure. But true beauties scoring 95 or higher? Hard to find. The best-looking one barely reached 92. Yizayu sighed slightly in disappointment. The women were utterly terrified, some barely able to stand. They already knew how brutal the outside world had become. Zombies had ravaged the planet. Here, they had survived. At the cost of their dignity, reduced to mere servants. With the Zhang family wiped out, they assumed their new captors wouldn't be much better. They had already accepted their fate. They had given up. Yizayu sat down on a plush sofa, savoring the feeling of being an underground ruler. Not bad. Crossing one leg over the other, he barely moved before one of the maids immediately knelt by his side and began massaging his leg. Not bad. Leaning back into the luxurious sofa, Yizayu wore an expression of contentment. No wonder some people loved the apocalypse. Food, drink, personal servants. Killing zombies for fun, commanding an army. This was no different from being a warlord or emperor. Yizayu found himself rather enjoying this lifestyle. Boss, what do we do with these people? Beside him, Liu Yang cautiously asked. Yizayu closed his eyes, considering for a moment before replying, let them choose. If they want to leave, they can. If they want to stay, they can. But they have to obey. No coercion. Holy shit. Liu Yang was stunned. Boss is being that generous? But then he quickly realized. Something was off. Wait a minute. The outside world was crawling with zombies. Where the hell could they even go? Sure enough, when Liu Ying relayed the message to the survivors, their first reaction was the same. The world outside was overrun with zombies. Who would willingly leave? It didn't matter who they served. The Zhang family or Blazing Rose. It was all the same. At least Blazing Rose seemed more reasonable. So naturally, they chose to stay. Just then, Li Xian, Lin Yuxi, and Miyaksu emerged after searching through the estate. As soon as they reached the living room, their faces lit up. Holy shit, this place is huge. 5 floors above, 3 below. And the lowest level is stacked with supplies, like a goddamn mountain. Li Xian was ecstatic. And Miyaksu nodded. This would make a great base. Then she noticed the kneeling women and frowned. Yi Xiaoyu, what's up with them? Oh. Yi Xiaoyu casually replied, I told them it's their choice. Stay or leave. This place is yours now. You handle it. What? My place? And Miyaksu pointed at herself in shock. Was he serious? You're really handing this over? Of course. Yi Xiaoyu had no interest in managing people. Too much hassle. Having his own faction was useful, but leadership? Not his thing. Might as well leave it to An Miyaksu. You just don't want the responsibility, she huffed, immediately seeing through him. But she didn't mind. After all, everything she had belonged to Yi Xiaoyu anyway. Helping him manage things wasn't a problem. Oh, right. Yi Xiaoyu suddenly remembered something. An Miyaksu needed more strength. Even though she now had authority and Liu Ying's loyalty, true control required power. He took out the blood-incandescent blade. Take this. It'll help you get stronger. What? The moment An Miyaksu saw the long blade glowing with a faint purple-red hue, she was stunned. She looked at Yi Xiaoyu in disbelief. You're giving this to me? But what about you? Yi Xiaoyu chuckled. If she got stronger, so did he. But An Miyaksu glanced at Blood Butterfly's wrath beside him and hesitated. This sword seems more suited for a woman. Yi Xiaoyu understood. Blood Butterfly's wrath had a design that fit a female fighter better. But unlike Blood-incandescent blade, it only boosted strength. Blood-incandescent blade enhanced all attributes. For An Miyaksu, a well-rounded upgrade was far more beneficial. Of course, this isn't free. Huh? Hearing that, An Miyaksu blushed and hesitated before muttering. Do I have to sleep with you tonight? Yi Xiaoyu. Chapter 41, Why should I share my supplies with you? This woman. What exactly goes through her head all day? But can I? What do you think? Yi Xiaoyu smirked and took what was offered. The next morning Yi Xiaoyu stretched lazily as the sunlight streamed through the windows. This was a room in the Zhang family estate's villa. Extravagant and luxurious. According to Chu Menyao, no one had ever stayed here before. And he had to admit, the night's sleep had been very comfortable. Beside him, An Miyaksu had also woken up, but the moment she did, her face flushed red, and she quickly buried herself under the blanket. Oh? Feeling shy now? Yi Xiaoyu chuckled. You weren't like this last night. Ugh, get lost. Her embarrassment deepened. It's not like I don't know about these things, okay? She had, seen certain things before. Don't underestimate a woman's imagination. Sometimes, they're even dirtier than men. Oh, right. Yi Xiaoyu pulled out a bottle of obedience water and handed it to her. Drink this. An Miyaksu examined the bottle with curiosity. What is this? Yi Xiaoyu smirked. Obedience water. After drinking it, we'll truly be on the same side. You pervert. Her face turned red immediately. Seriously? After everything, this is still on your mind? But after a brief moment of hesitation. Fine. Blushing, An Miyaksu obediently drank it all. A few seconds passed. I don't feel anything. She blinked, confused. Yi Xiaoyu laughed and explained what obedience water actually did. After hearing the truth, An Miyaksu didn't seem to care. Aside from Yi Xiaoyu, who else could she even trust? It didn't matter. Yi Xiaoyu handed her the blood-incandescent blade again. Use this blade to kill zombies. It'll enhance all of your attributes. The more you use it, the stronger you'll get. What? It has that kind of effect? An Miyaksu's eyes widened in disbelief as she took the blade. She gave Yi Xiaoyu a complicated look. Just what the hell have you been through all this time? But then, she smiled softly. Don't worry. I'll make sure to grow stronger. Good. Just as they were about to get up. Bang. 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 Urgent knocking on the door. Followed by Liu Ying's loud voice. Boss Yi. Boss Zhu. Bad news. What's wrong? There's trouble outside. Oh? Yi Xiaoyu raised a brow. Someone dared to stir trouble here? Who is it? A bunch of survivors. Liu Ying sounded pissed. After we took down the Zhang family estate last night, a lot of smaller groups in the area saw an opportunity. Now there are over 200 to 300 people outside demanding a share of our supplies. Ah. So that's how it was. The battle last night had drawn a lot of attention. When these scavengers saw the estate had changed hands, they rushed over hoping to take a cut of the loot. Interesting. Hearing this, Yizayu couldn't help but laugh. They're trying to rob me? Alright, I got it. I'll head out now. Anmyaksu, overhearing everything, was visibly irritated. She quickly got dressed. When they opened the door, they found Liu Yang waiting anxiously. As soon as Yizayu stepped out, Liu Yang grinned and was about to greet him. But then he froze when he saw Anmyaksu. Boss Yi, good more. Wait. His eyes darted around, searching. Wait. Where's Boss Zu? He looked utterly confused. How many people were in that room last night? A dark aura loomed over Anmyaksu's head. Her face was ice cold as she glared at Liu Yang. I am Boss Zu. What? Liu Yang was stunned. He stared at her in shock. Their mysterious, masked leader. Was this drop-dead gorgeous woman? Holy shit. No wonder she always hid her face before. They never realized their leader was this damn beautiful. Anmyaksu ignored him. She had worn a mask before to avoid unwanted trouble. But now, with Yizayu by her side and a bunch of transformers protecting them, what was there to fear? No more hiding. Let's go. Time to deal with this. Right. Liu Yang snapped out of it and hurried after them. Outside the estate as they stepped out, they saw a mob of survivors gathered outside the gates. Most were armed. At least 10 of them seemed to be leading the group, shouting threats. Hurry up and open the gates. If you don't, we won't be so nice. Yeah. Hand over the Zhang family's supplies, or we'll take them by force. Why should you hog all the resources in the estate? We deserve a share. Yeah. Hand over the supplies. Inside the estate, Blazing Rose members and their new recruits from the Zhang family were already standing guard. But even combined, they only had about 100 people. Against 300 plus hostiles. The numbers weren't in their favor. Lysia Ann sat off to the side, casually flipping her shadow dagger in her hand. She didn't look concerned at all. Just as tensions reached a boiling point, Yizayu and Anmyaksu stepped forward. Anmyaksu's expression darkened. What the hell are you all doing? Shouting this loud in the morning. Aren't you afraid of attracting zombies? Zombies? The mob wasn't worried. It was broad daylight. Zombies were weaker during the day. Plus, there weren't many in this area to begin with. However, the moment some of the leaders saw Anmyaksu, their eyes changed. Greedy. Lustful. You're the leader of Blazing Rose? Well. You look real nice. Clearly, none of them expected the leader of Blazing Rose to be this stunning. But that wasn't the main issue. The real reason this mob had gathered was because of what happened last night. The Zhang family estate had been taken over, the entire area had heard the explosions. And by morning, rumors had spread. The once mighty Zhang family had fallen overnight. That meant their massive stockpile of supplies was now up for grabs. Before the apocalypse, the Zhang family had hoarded mountains of food, weapons, and resources. Even after the world collapsed, they had looted every mall and supermarket in the area. Their supplies were enough to sustain over 10,000 people for a year. That's why these scavengers had come running. They smelled an opportunity. The scar-faced man leading them smirked. He wore leather armor over a bulletproof vest and radiated an air of aggression. Boss Zu, was it? We're here for a simple reason. We just want you to share some supplies with us. Oh? Anmyaksu raised an eyebrow, twirling her blood-ins crescent blade in her hands. You want me to give you supplies? She smirked. And why the hell should I? Chapter 42, The Future's Second Catastrophe. Acid Rain. Why? The crowd outside the Zhang family estate erupted in dissatisfaction. You attacked the Zhang family estate. They had tons of supplies. Can you even use it all? Yeah. Some of that stockpile came from what they looted from us in the first place. We have every right to take it back. Oh. Anmyaksu finally understood. A teasing smile spread across her lips as she glanced at the dense mass of survivors outside the gates. She nodded. I see now. When the Zhang family was in charge, you were too scared to go against them. But now that we took them down, suddenly, you've all grown a backbone. You. That single statement made many of them blush in shame. Because it was true. No one had dared to mess with the Zhang family before. They were infamous for killing without hesitation. Otherwise, how could they have gathered 400 to 500 people in just a week? But now that the Zhang family had fallen, these scavengers suddenly wanted a piece of the pie. How pathetic. Anmyaksu scoffed, ignoring their furious and embarrassed glares. What a joke. She took a step forward, her beautiful eyes glinting with cold killing intent. You were cowards when the Zhang family ruled. But now that they're gone, you dare come here to steal? Her gaze sharpened. What makes you think I'm any softer than the Zhang family? The air instantly grew tense. The leaders of the survivor group felt a chill crawl down their spines. This woman wasn't just a pretty face. If she had managed to build Blazing Rose in the apocalypse, she wasn't to be underestimated. Get lost. Her voice turned ice cold. I'll give you one chance to walk away. If you don't, you'll all die right here. Silence. Some of the survivors hesitated. They had only come to test the waters, not to throw their lives away. But the scar-faced man, their leader, wasn't having it. Don't panic. He barked, calming the mob. We have over 300 people. Blazing Rose barely has 100. If we fight, they won't stand a chance. Yeah. A young woman in his group sneered. They're just bluffing. If we take them down, all these supplies will be ours. Think about it. Food and water for over 1,000 people for a year. Why risk going to the zombie-infested city when we can just take it here? Yeah. That's right. The mob's hesitation vanished. They cocked their guns and set their sights on the estate. If they could win this fight, they'd never have to struggle for supplies again. But Yi Xiaoyu had no patience for this nonsense. He raised his hand. Venom. Yes, my great creator. Inside the estate. A loud, metallic grinding noise erupted. From the shadows, a Paganihuara transformed. Clank. 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 Within seconds, the sleek sports car morphed into a 6-meter-tall mechanical behemoth. The moment Venom appeared, the survivors outside froze. Their expressions turned into pure horror. What the fuck is that? They were stunned. A towering metal skeleton with cannons the size of a basin attached to its arm? One shot from that thing and they'd be vaporized. Yi Xiaoyu glanced at Miyaksu. Handle it. She smirked. Got it. She raised her hand. Venom. Kill them. Hey. With pleasure. Venom grinned, eager for battle. A low hum filled the air as its laser cannon charged up. Boom. The first shot erupted, unleashing a devastating explosion. The ground outside shook as 3 to 4 dozen people were instantly vaporized. Holy shit. Run. Panic spread like wildfire. Those who had been so eager to charge in turned tail and ran for their lives. This wasn't a modified robot. It was a damn war machine. But it was too late. Miyaksu's voice rang out. Kill them all. Boom. 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 Venom fired again. Each shot obliterated at least a dozen survivors. Bodies were sent flying. Screams filled the air. Gunfire erupted. Blazing Rose soldiers charged forward, mowing down the survivors. Wipe them out. Miyaksu felt zero guilt about killing these people. She understood one thing, in the apocalypse, it was survival of the fittest. When resources were scarce, everyone fought desperately to survive. But now, they were sitting on a gold mine. They couldn't afford to show weakness. Otherwise, they would be the ones dying next. So she showed no mercy. Venom didn't disappoint. After 15 more cannon blasts, the battlefield was left in ruins. Corpses littered the ground. Only 20 or 30 survivors managed to escape. Enough. Don't chase them. Miyaksu raised a hand. Liu Yang looked at her in confusion. Why not? If we don't finish them off, they'll just come back for revenge later. Miyaksu's icy gaze swept over him. Let them go. Her lips curled into a smirk. They need to spread the message. Liu Yang's eyes lit up. Ah. If word spread about how terrifying Blazing Rose was, no one would dare challenge them again. Smart. He nodded in approval. 2 days later, although Hueco City had fallen to the zombie apocalypse, news still traveled. With the loss of modern communication systems, survivors relied on word of mouth. And in less than 2 days, everyone knew. The Zhang family estate had fallen. The survivors hiding in various shelters were terrified. Blazing Rose was so powerful that they wiped out the Zhang family overnight. And when Scarface and his gang tried to take a share, they were slaughtered. Damn. Blazing Rose is brutal. No kidding. I heard Scarface didn't even get a chance to talk. He was just blasted to pieces. Fuck, and that guy was a beast before. I can't believe he's dead. Whenever survivors gathered to scavenge for supplies, they whispered about it. The name Blazing Rose sent chills down their spines. No one wanted to mess with them. But none of this concerned Yi Xiaoyu. While he had helped Miyaksu establish Blazing Rose, he still believed in one thing, strengthening himself. Only by becoming stronger could he survive the coming disasters. Because he hadn't forgotten. The Blood Moon zombie virus was just the first catastrophe. Soon would come, acid rain, red mist, ice storms, mutant beasts, meteors, earthquakes, subterranean creatures. The future held horrors beyond imagination. Splat. Inside a ruined city, Yizayu sliced through a tyrant zombie with a single strike. He dumped all 50 attribute points into strength and checked his stats. Name, Yizayu, level, 10, stamina, 500, strength, 2000, agility, 2200, defense, 3500, talent, level 1 fire control ability. His stats had skyrocketed. He was now hundreds of times stronger than an average person. His defense alone was monstrous. One punch could flatten a villa. Tyrant zombies. A joke. But something else caught his eye. Among the loot, a red crystal gleamed. What's this? Picking it up, he realized. It was a tyrant zombie core. Chapter 43, Good News or Bad News, Master? Crystal core? Seeing the red crystal in his hand, Yizayu was a bit surprised. He hadn't expected that after killing the tyrant zombie, this thing would drop. After all, he'd been slaying zombies for so long, but he'd never seen one before. Yet this time, a tyrant zombie actually dropped one. So, Yizayu asked in his mind, System, what's this thing for? Soon, the system responded, replying to the host, consuming a magic core has a chance of transforming into a mutant new human, gaining even more powerful special abilities. Oh? Mutant new human. This was the first time Yizayu had heard of this term. That's right, the system explained, this happens after the second wave of the apocalypse. When acid rain falls. Only then do these crystals start appearing in zombie brains. Right now, there's still a small chance for them to drop, but the probability is extremely low. And even if someone consumes one, the chance of mutating into a mutant new human is only 1%. But if successful, they will gain a powerful mutation ability and become a unique existence. Furthermore, these zombie magic cores are the fundamental resource needed to upgrade a mutant new human's powers. I see. Hearing this, Yizayu finally understood. He knew it. There was no way this world was going to stay simple. If humans didn't have special abilities, how could they possibly survive the endless catastrophes to come? Additionally, zombie magic cores can also be used to enhance Cybertronian life forms, increasing their level and boosting all their stats. Oh? So they have that use too? Yizayu's eyes lit up. He'd always known these Cybertronian life forms could be upgraded, but he never figured out what was needed for it. However, when he glanced at Venom, who was lounging lazily on a pile of rocks, absent-mindedly tossing pebbles, he was dumbfounded. Name, Venom, level 1, requires a tier 10 magic core plus 2 to upgrade. Wait a minute. Tier 10 magic core? Yizayu instinctively looked at the zombie magic core in his hand. Tier 3. That's a huge difference. But soon, the system spoke again, that's actually quite good. The current standard of Cybertronian life forms is equivalent to a tier 10 mutant new human, so naturally, they require a tier 10 magic core to upgrade. Oh, I get it now. Yizayu suddenly understood. To level up, the required magic core must match the target's tier. And since these guys were already at tier 10 mutant new human level, they obviously needed tier 10 magic cores. So in other words, right now, he had the equivalent of 5 or 6 tier 10 mutant new human level powerhouses under his command? Yizayu grinned. But, damn, upgrading you guys is harder than upgrading myself. Yizayu shot another glance at Venom. Venom, who had been idly sitting on the rock pile, suddenly sensed Yizayu's gaze. He scratched his head, looking confused and innocent, like a child who had done nothing wrong. Did I offend a boss again? Boom. Just then, a deep, rumbling roar broke the silence. Yizayu looked up and saw a sleek, military green Lamborghini speeding toward him. As it reached him, it performed a stylish drift and came to a perfect stop. Then, from both sides of the car, a pair of long, slender legs stepped out. When he saw who it was, he recognized Lin Yuxi and Li Xian. Master. After 3 days apart, Li Xian ran up excitedly and hugged Yizayu tightly. When she noticed the fallen tyrant zombie, she gasped and covered her mouth in shock. Wow, Master. You're amazing. You killed another tyrant zombie? How many have you taken down these past few days? Yizayu thought for a moment. Should be the 6th one. Since tyrant zombies weren't common, it had taken him 3 days to find 6 of them. Wow. Even so, Li Xian was thoroughly impressed. In these 3 days, I only managed to find 1. She said with admiration. Yizayu took a look at her current stats. Her agility had reached 1,200. 1,200. What did that mean? It meant she was 120 times faster than an average person. A normal human could sprint about 2 meters per second at their peak. But Li Xian? She could burst out at 120 times that speed. 240 meters per second. To put that into perspective, the speed of sound was about 340 meters per second. This woman was approaching subsonic speeds. And the more interesting part? Yizayu noticed that as her agility increased, her strength and defense had also improved significantly. He clicked his tongue in approval. Looks like you've changed quite a bit recently. Giving her a once-over, Yizayu commented with satisfaction. Lizian, however, remained humble, saying shyly, "That's all thanks to Master's training. Without the shadow dagger you gave me, I wouldn't have improved this fast." "Well, that's true." Yizayu nodded, then shifted his gaze to Lin Yuxi. Her defense had now reached 800, which was 80 times stronger than a normal human. Of course, this was thanks to the sanctuary gauntlets he had acquired a few days ago. As long as she used them to kill zombies, they would continuously increase her defense. That's why her durability was now ridiculously high. So high that even if she stood still while being bombarded by a Gatling gun, she wouldn't take any damage. However, just having agility or defense alone isn't enough. Yizayu handed Blood Butterfly's Wrath to Lizian and said, "Use this. It'll help you boost your strength." TSK, with both speed and power, who wouldn't be instantly annihilated. However, when Lizian saw Yizayu handing her Blood Butterfly's Wrath, she froze for a moment, blinking her large, beautiful eyes. "But Master, what about you?" "Me?" She and Lin Yuxi still didn't know just how terrifying Yizayu's physical stats had become. But Yizayu had already prepared for this. He took out a long, slender blade that emitted a soft, eerie blue glow, almost appearing translucent. It looked incredibly cool and carried the mysterious aura. This blade was called Kanshai Masamune. It was something he had looted yesterday after killing a tyrant zombie. Just like Blood Butterfly's Wrath, it had the ability to absorb attributes upon slaying zombies. But that wasn't all. It also possessed fire and light attributes. Anyone struck by this blade would suffer burn wounds that wouldn't heal, and a light attribute attack could instantly blind enemies, obstructing their vision. Previously, Yizayu hadn't fully understood the importance of elemental attributes. But now, he knew the truth. These abilities were clearly meant to counter mutant new humans. And at this point, his space ring was practically overflowing with loot. Not only did he have 4 space rings now, but also 3 upgrade stones, 12 bottles of obedience water, 8 bottles of recovery serum, 8 bottles of purification serum. These were the fruits of his battles over the past few days. Yizayu gave Kanshai Masamune a casual twirl in his hand and grinned. "This blade is all I need." "I knew it." As expected, when Lizian saw Kanshai Masamune, she immediately smirked knowingly and said, "I just knew you'd have something even better." Still, Blood Butterfly's Wrath was already an amazing weapon, so she had no complaints. She then turned to Lin Yuxi and handed over her old shadow dagger. "Yuxi-ji, my agility is already ridiculously high. You should use this to boost yours. Having high defense is great, but it's better to improve your other stats too." "Alright, sounds good." Lin Yuxi smiled and took it without hesitation. After all, she had zero interest in being a walking tank. Who wouldn't want to slash zombies in style? Oh, right. Just as everyone was sorting through their gear, Lizian suddenly smacked her forehead as if remembering something important. She pouted in frustration and said, "Master, I almost forgot to tell you something." "Oh? What is it?" Hearing this, Yizayu raised an eyebrow, intrigued. But to his surprise, Lizian suddenly put on a mysterious smile and teased, "I've got one bad news and one good news." "Which one do you want to hear first, Master?" Without hesitation, Yizayu replied, "Good news first." Hearing this, Lizian's charming face froze for a second before she let out a sheepish laugh. "Actually, let's hear the bad news first." Yizayu chuckled. "Go ahead." "Yesterday, while I was leveling up, I happened to run into some people from Blazing Rose gathering supplies. A fight broke out. One of their guys was really special. His speed was insanely fast, about 10 times faster than a normal human. He was ridiculously quick and managed to kill quite a few survivors." 10 times a normal person's speed? Yizayu was slightly taken aback upon hearing this. A thought suddenly popped into his head. Could it be a mutant new human? That would be surprising. After all, the system had mentioned that right now, only tyrant zombies had a chance of dropping magic cores. But that didn't mean some insanely lucky human couldn't have gotten their hands on one and successfully awakened as a mutant new human. And now, one had already appeared in Hueco City? That level of luck was off the charts. Still, Yizayu asked, "And the good news?" Lizian flashed him a dazzling smile and said, "The good news is, I killed that guy." Yizayu. Chapter 44, Activating a Subway. Yizayu's giant apocalypse pet. This counts as good news? You killed him. How am I supposed to learn more about these mutant new humans? This guy had evolved this early. That was no ordinary feat. But before Yizayu could dwell on it, Lysia had pursed her lips and said smugly, "What's so hard about that? I already found out everything." She continued, "That guy and another survivor from his shelter threw a grenade into a tyrant zombie's mouth, and by sheer dumb luck, it exploded and dropped a magic core. Then he ate it and luckily evolved?" Lysia and blinked her beautiful, water-like eyes in surprise. "Oh? You already figured it out? That guy. It was obvious. If it wasn't for killing a tyrant zombie, where else would a magic core come from? But his luck. That's ridiculously good." Even Yizayu couldn't help but click his tongue. Forget the low drop rate. The chance of successfully evolving was just 1%, and this guy actually hit the jackpot. If he hadn't run into Lysian, this man might have become one of Hueco City's strongest mutant new humans in the future. But now, he was just another corpse. Lysian, however, saw things differently. This proves that in the future, more mutated survivors will start appearing. We need to level up as much as possible. You're right, Lin Yuxi agreed. She didn't want to get left behind while others surpassed them. And I wonder where we rank right now. Lin Yuxi was slightly worried. Would future mutant new humans become insanely strong? But Yizayu wasn't concerned at all. He already had a rough understanding of power levels. Based on the system's explanation, his Cybertronian life forms like Venom had already reached Tier 10 mutant new human levels. And as for himself? With his current stats, he was already on par with them. Sure, his firepower wasn't as overwhelming, but overall, he could still stand his ground against them. That meant he was likely at Tier 10 as well. Meanwhile, Lysia and Lin Yuxi were probably around Tier 5. The gap between them and Yizayu wasn't just little. It was massive. But that wasn't the main issue right now. For now, just keep leveling up as much as possible. We have a huge lead over others right now, and we should maintain it. Yeah, that makes sense. Hearing Yizayu's words, the two women suddenly stopped overthinking. Why worry about the future? Just level up now and deal with everything else later. Yizayu also had a strong feeling that the acid rain apocalypse event was coming soon. So he asked the system, how long until the second disaster arrives? The system responded immediately, the acid rain event will occur in 7 days, and during this period, there will be more zombies carrying magic cores. That soon? Yizayu was a little surprised. He needed to start moving faster. Alright. Without wasting time, Yizayu looked at the two women and instructed, from now on, focus entirely on leveling up your stats. Also, after thinking for a moment, Yizayu retrieved Blood Butterfly's Wrath and handed Lin Yuxi the Kanshai Masamune instead. Use this weapon. It'll boost all your attributes. Ah. The sudden gift instantly made Lysia's eyes mist up with emotion. This weapon is so powerful, and you're giving it to me? What about you? What about me? Of course, I'll just leech off your experience points. Yizayu chuckled inwardly. But as a good master, he still played the part. You two need to keep improving your self-defense. Got it. The two women, completely unaware of his real motive, felt so touched they were practically in tears. They decided. No rest for the next few days. Just grind levels non-stop. For the next few days, their schedule was simple, more leveling. Lysia and Lin Yuxi teamed up, bringing Ironhide and Lightning along to power level. Meanwhile, Yizayu also informed Miyaksu about the upcoming acid rain event. Because over these past few days, Blazing Rose had started emerging as the most powerful apocalypse faction in Hueco City. Well, at least in the urban district. Because in reality, Hueco City was surrounded by heavily populated rural areas, which had developed much better. If they ever clashed with those external forces, they might not necessarily win. But even so, Blazing Rose's ability to gather resources was outstanding. Since Yizayu planned to use them, it was only fair to give them a heads up to prepare for what was coming. Are you saying? At the Zhang family estate. Or rather, the now renamed Rose Manor. The entire area had expanded significantly, surrounded by metal fences and barbed wire, with vehicles constantly coming and going. It had transformed into a new apocalyptic stronghold, a thriving base in this ruined world. Inside, Miyaksu poured a cup of tea for Yizayu and asked in disbelief, in about a week, acid rain will start falling? That's right. Yizayu took a sip of the tea. Not bad, it was dragon well tea. In the apocalypse, this was an extreme luxury. But for him? Resources were never a problem. I need more. The more supplies, the better. With hundredfold return and space rings, Yizayu knew that the future of the city itself was uncertain. So as long as there were resources, he would take them all. Alright. Onmyoku had no objections. She smiled and said, I'll have Liu Ying and the others focus entirely on collecting supplies. But then, after a slight pause, she hesitated before adding, by the way. You've heard about the mutant survivor, right? Yizayu nodded. Yeah, I heard. Onmyoku continued, Liu Ying told me that guy killed over 10 of our people, but then Lizia and killed him effortlessly. Effortlessly? Even Onmyoku found it hard to believe. After all, that guy's speed alone had allowed him to slaughter so many survivors. 10 times the speed of a normal person was no joke. At that level, he was practically a blur, fast enough that even bullets would have a hard time hitting him. But according to the witnesses, that guy had been arrogantly weaving through the crowd, mowing people down one after another. He even mocked Blazing Rose, claiming they were useless and that he would become the new leader of Hueco City. But just as he was boasting, the next second, his throat exploded in a spray of blood. No one even saw how he died. Only after it was over did Lysian, dressed in all black, casually step out. The man collapsed to the ground, his face frozen in pure disbelief. Yizayu wasn't surprised at all. Speed X 10? Against Speed X 100 plus? That's nothing. This was no different than Yizayu butchering ordinary humans. Except this time, Lysian was the one doing the butchering. Seeing Onmyoku's concerns, Yizayu chuckled, don't worry. With your current power, you're already on par with mutant new humans. Plus, according to the system, magic cores were already rare, and successful evolution was even rarer. Besides, he continued, so far, only one has appeared in all of Hueco City. Even if more show up, I'd say 1 or 2 per shelter at most. Nothing to worry about. That makes sense. Hearing that, Onmyoku felt much more at ease. She stood up, smiling. Alright, I'll have our people start gathering supplies immediately. Good. With Onmyoku giving the order, all survivors in the Rose Manor mobilized. They spread across the city, sweeping every area for resources. This was why having numbers mattered. Yizayu didn't have to lift a finger, yet the supplies kept flowing in. Of course, he wasn't just sitting around either. He planned to use these last few days to level up even more. For the next few days, Yizayu returned to his usual routine. Hunting zombies. Looting gear. Increasing his stats. In addition, he started upgrading more transformers. So far, he had only upgraded 5. But it wasn't because of a lack of energy. He had just discovered something interesting. Energy could be stored. If he didn't use it immediately, it would accumulate into spare sparks. Right now, he had 9 sparks saved up. That meant he could activate 9 more transformers. But this time, Yizayu didn't pick just any vehicle. He had his eyes set on something big. A subway train. Yes, a giant subway train. Hueco City had a subway system, with Line 1 still intact. And Yizayu found one of its trains still there. These things weren't cheap. They cost billions to build. And this one was massive, a full 130 meters long. Just imagine. If a supercar transformer was already powerful, what if he activated an entire subway train? TSK, TSK, TSK. Yizayu could hardly contain his excitement. Taking his Lamborghini Veneno, he sped toward the subway station. After clearing out 30 zombies, he finally saw it. The train was still at the Line 1 starting station. However, it was badly damaged. Shattered windows. Dents and collision marks. Even bullet holes. It looked like a relic from a post-apocalyptic wasteland. For a second, Yizayu wondered if it could even be activated. This thing's trashed. Can it really work? But after inspecting it up close, he felt reassured. Activation target, Line 1 subway train, required spark energy, to activate. Yes or no? Yizayu's eyes gleamed. Hell yes. Chapter 45, Yizayu's combat pet. Cybertronian ancient mechanical behemoth. Activate. Without hesitation, Yizayu made his choice. As blue energy surged, a massive tremor shook the subway station. The 130-meter-long train began to rapidly transform. Countless mechanical components whirred and shifted, restructuring its entire frame. Inside the train, zombies were still shambling about, completely unaware. Rumble. As the transformation intensified, the next moment, a colossal, 130-meter-long mechanical beast emerged, resembling a monstrous cybernetic serpent. Inside, the intricate, shifting gears shredded the zombies to pieces, their blood splattering everywhere as they were crushed within the train's evolving structure. The gigantic head of the beast swayed. Boom. Even though it was still within the subway tunnel, Its immense force was enough to shatter thick concrete pillars like tofu. Then, its massive, tentacle-like appendages unfurled. Each of the 7 or 8 tentacles was composed of interwoven steel cables, made from transforming metal elements. This ancient mechanical monstrosity had a terrifying ability. It could burrow underground with ease. But when it locked eyes on Yizayu, its previously feral, aggressive posture instantly became docile. Lowering its 3-meter-tall head, it let out a deep, strange rumbling sound, as if purring. At the same time, a data panel appeared before Yizayu. Name, Cybertronian Ancient Mechanical Behemoth, Level 1, Species, Cybertronian Ancient Titan, Strength, 10,000, Defense, 10,000, Firepower, 5,000, Description, a colossal mechanical beast from the distant and mysterious Cybertronian star system. Using a subway train as its base, it possesses immense destructive power and nearly indestructible defenses. A true ancient Cybertronian Titan, holy shit. Yizayu was stunned by the stats. I actually activated a Cybertronian Ancient Behemoth. Originally, he just wanted to upgrade a strong transformer. That's why he had saved Sparks as backup. But instead of getting another transformer, he ended up with a freaking mechanical titan. Looking at the gigantic, 100-plus meter long beast before him. Even stronger than a transformer, radiating pure dominance. Yizayu couldn't help but grin. This might actually be even better. Just imagine. The next time he fought for control of the city against rival survivor bases, this thing suddenly bursts out of the ground and wrecks everything. What kind of base could possibly withstand its destructive rampage? Even against zombies, this thing would just plow through them effortlessly. Not bad at all. The more he thought about it, the more satisfied he became. He reached out and patted the metallic, shifting armor plates of the beast's enormous body. From now on, your name is Drill Maw. Grrrr. Grrrr. Drill Maw let out a low, rumbling sound. Yizayu paused. Wait. This guy can't talk? Well, that was actually a good thing. No unnecessary chatter. Unlike some of his other subordinates, who were starting to get way too talkative. Alright. Yizayu gave Drill Maw's massive frame another firm pat. Let's get out of here. Now that he had successfully activated the subway behemoth, there was no need to linger. However, given Drill Maw's enormous size, it would be too conspicuous to just walk it out of the subway station. So, Yizayu had an idea. Can you tunnel underground? After all, it was a subway train. It had plenty of underground tunnels to navigate. Grrrr. Drill Maw immediately responded by doing a dramatic backflip. Boom. It smashed straight into the subway station's ceiling, nearly giving Yizayu a heart attack as debris rained down. Then, it turned and slithered deep into the tunnels, disappearing from view. Right before it vanished, Drill Maw launched a small object toward Yizayu. Huh? Yizayu picked it up and examined it. The tiny chip immediately transformed into a wristband and secured itself onto his wrist. Through it, he could now track Drill Maw's location and summon it at any time. Not bad. Not bad at all. With this behemoth as his newest pet, Yizayu felt even more confident. Now, checking his remaining sparks. He still had 7 left. Since the apocalypse had been ongoing for 16 days, he planned to save them until he found some high-powered military vehicles to activate. A fighter jet or a missile truck would be ideal. TSK. With those, controlling all of Hueco City would be a joke. Boom. Just as Yizayu emerged back onto the surface, a loud explosion shook the air. What was that? Sounds like gunfire. Veneno, still in Lamborghini form, spoke in a mechanical voice. Hey. Looks like someone's fighting over territory nearby. Yizayu's lips curled into a dangerous smirk. Perfect timing. Yizayu surveyed his domain, his gaze sharp. This is my turf. Let's see which idiot dares to fight on my land. With that, he hopped into his Lamborghini Veneno. Vroom. The supercar roared, executing a perfect drift before speeding toward the commotion. Arriving at the source of the explosion, Yizayu found himself in front of a large shopping mall. After half a month of apocalypse, the place was now a complete wasteland. Thick layers of dust and smoke filled the air. Craters, wrecked vehicles, and scattered zombie corpses littered the surroundings. The entire scene screamed post-apocalyptic ruin. Outside the mall, 2 groups were in a tense standoff. About a dozen men had surrounded 2 men and a woman. The air was heavy with hostility. Chen Yong sneered. Kinzelin, there's nowhere left to run. Be a good girl and come back with me. The woman, Kinzelin, replied coldly, dream on. I'll never go back with you. Oh? Chen Yong's expression turned sinister. Then don't blame me for being ruthless. These guys. From Thunder Base, Yizayu recognized their insignia immediately. They were from an apocalypse faction outside the city. Currently, most of Hueco City was under Blazing Rose's control. Survivors in the city either operated alone, which Blazing Rose ignored, or were from outside factions, which were banned from entering. And yet, these guys were clearly outsiders. Bang! Before anyone could react, Yizayu casually flung Blood Butterfly's wrath forward. Thud! The blade stabbed deep into the ground, right between the two groups. What the fuck? Who's trying to ambush me? Chen Yong whipped around in fury. What he saw was a young man in a blue tracksuit, standing there calmly. Fuming, Chen Yong cursed, "Brat, you wanna die? How dare you attack me?" Yizayu's lips curled into a cold smirk. Die? No, you're the ones who are dead. Fighting on my turf? You must have a death wish. Your turf? Chen Yong was momentarily stunned. But before he could react, behind Yizayu, a towering, 6-meter tall mechanical behemoth rose from the ground. The sheer pressure it radiated made Chen Yong's face darken instantly. You are from Blazing Rose? After all, only Blazing Rose had these kinds of terrifying war machines. Chen Yong's expression quickly changed from hostility to a fake smile. He cupped his hands politely and said, "Brother, this is a misunderstanding. We're just capturing 3 traitors. Now that we have them, we'll leave immediately." But the woman, Kinzelin, immediately protested. "We are not traitors. We were never part of Thunder Base. They're trying to capture us." Chen Yong's face twitched slightly, but he kept his polite tone. "Brother, I hope you can give Thunder Base some respect." "Respect?" Yizayu chuckled, shaking his head. "And what respect does Thunder Base deserve? Since you dared to trespass on my land, you'll have to leave something behind." "Leave something behind?" Chen Yong was momentarily confused. Yizayu smirked. "You entered my territory, so you owe me a protection fee." "Ha ha ha ha." Chen Yong burst into laughter, but his expression turned icy. "Brat, you have no idea, do you? Our boss, Lei Bao, is already a Tier 1 mutant new human. I know Blazing Rose has its war machines, but the world is changing. Mutant new humans will rule the future. Even your boss, Anmyok-su, has to respect our leader. And you, a mere nobody, think you can demand something from us? Oh? A mutant new human?" Yizayu raised an eyebrow in genuine surprise. Even a small fry like Chen Yong knew about mutant new humans now? "That's right." Chen Yong boasted confidently, "Blazing Rose's time is almost up. I suggest you show us some respect, or you'll regret it once our boss finds out." "Perfect?" Chen Yong had been expecting fear from Yizayu. Instead, Yizayu's next words left him completely frozen. "Since he's a mutant new human, that means he's strong enough to kill high-level zombies, right? I've changed my mind. I don't want your supplies anymore. Go back and tell Lei Bao. Prepare 100 zombie magic cores for me. If he doesn't deliver them, I'll raise Thunder Base to the ground." "What?" Chen Yong's mind went blank. "This guy is demanding magic cores from our boss?